Boys in the back. Boys in the back. Boys.
What is good? We are back. Another episode of The Boys in the Back. Missed a week with us because of Thanksgiving last week. We were begging to do a show. We really tried to do a show on Thanksgiving for you guys, but the bosses, the powers that be, they just wouldn't have it, man. Unfortunately, we wanted to work on the holiday. I'm joined, as always, by my guy, New York Rick. Look at you, looking good.
Thanks, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I've actually never been better. I cannot wait for this fight card this weekend, UFC 310. But last night, let's just rip the Band-Aid off.
Let's just roll into it.
Last night, Dana White and the UFC announced that we have a main event and a co-main event now for UFC 311. Islam Makhachev will be taking on Arman Tsarukyan in a rematch from their 2019 fight. And in the co-main event, Merab Dvalishvili does not get his wishes. And he will be taking on Umar Nurmagomedov. First, just like key takeaway, love the matchmaking here. Two rightful contenders getting a shot at the title. Second, busy night for the great Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Yeah, back-to-back championship fights he's involved in. Don't think that's a bad problem to have. Feel like that's one of those problems that you want, especially when you're somebody as driven as Khabib, who is an excellent, all-time great fighter, and now seemingly an all-time great coach. But how about those two? I mean, those two fights are as good as they get.
As good as it gets. So we saw Islam Makhachev fight Arman Tsarukyan back in 2019.
Yep.
They went to a decision.
Was that Arman's debut, or was that like his second fight? It was something. He took it on short notice, I believe.
You know what? Let's find out. But it was a very maybe not the closest fight we've ever seen, but it was a competitive fight. It was 30-27.
That's right. It was competitive, yeah.
On two judges' scorecards, 29-28 on one of them. And if you go back and you look at the stats and you rewatch it, it was like a fairly close fight.
Yeah, it was his debut.
It was Arman Tsarukyan's debut. So yeah, I mean, I can't wait for that one. I don't know what else you would make at 155 at this point. It's Arman's shot.
That's the fight to make. If you're Arman, in your head, you're thinking, that was my first fight in the UFC. Short notice, took an opportunity, fought Khabib. I was about to say fought Khabib. Fought Islam competitively, right? As you said, it wasn't like it was a robbery or one that was controversial. But fought him competitively in a way that we don't see most people fighting Islam competitively. They usually tend to get their doors blown off. He is just that dominant. And so you have to be thinking, yeah, I can do better than that. I can definitely do better than that. I find that narrative tends to be prevalent. That narrative tends to be the one that everybody kind of latches onto. The other side of that is, if you're Islam, you probably go, that wasn't the opponent I was training for. That wasn't the guy I was ready for. Got a guy on short notice, got to look at him. I can do better than that. And so I really, truly feel like this is one where both of those guys since have raised their game. Both of those guys since will be able to put in a better performance than they did last time. And with how good each of them are individually, this is going to be a fantastic fight. This is a really, really high level fight.
Yeah, I mean, you said it perfectly right there with the fact that both these guys are certain in their heads. I know we say it a lot in the fight game, and every fighter believes that they're going to win the fight. But if you're Islam Makhachev, it's just dude, I'm 26-1. I've now racked up a few title defenses. I've beaten the best in the division. I've already beaten this guy. I'm just going to beat him again. It's no problem. And if you're Arman, it's just bro, you got me on my debut on short notice. I gave you a competitive fight. Wait till I get back in there. I'm going to beat you this time. It's going to be fantastic, man. It might not be. Islam is a star. He is a mega star.
One of the biggest the UFC has. He tends to get left off the list because I feel like the infrequency of when he fights, right? It tends to be 1 or 2 times a year. He is a mega star. He is one of the UFC's biggest names.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I love the IG test, but he's over 8 million followers on Instagram. He is a star, even if it is more regional and maybe not. He's not a star in America. The dude is a global star for the UFC, and this is one that even if this doesn't break into the casual sphere of John Jones status, Alex Pereira status, this is such a fantastic fight, and I can't wait for it. Month and a half out. Any early predictions? Do we see Ann New in LA?
I don't think so. I have Islam my number 1 pound for pound. I think he's one of the best fighters in the world right now. I think Arman is also one of the best fighters in the world right now, but I do believe Islam is going to win. I just don't see, in the Arman fight against Charles, I saw some things where I went, wow, like this guy really is as good as he believes he is. He is as good as the believers in him believe he is. But I just don't see what the path to victory is against Islam. I don't know what he's going to be able to do that I don't think Islam will have an answer for. I think they're both good enough that it will be competitive again, and I think there will be opportunities for Arman to have his moments, but I just don't know what the path to a clear victory is. Maybe he makes it dirty. Maybe it is competitive enough. And again, I always use the word dirty, but what I mean is like grimy, kind of just like in the trenches, not very clean, not standing in space and striking, not just having clean grappling exchanges, but this kind of like flowing everywhere, don't know who's winning the exchanges type thing. And he's able to pull something out. But skill for skill, I just don't know how somebody at 155 is going to beat Islam. I think Islam will not truly like face the fear of losing until he goes up to 170. That's my current feeling. And to be honest, I felt very similarly about Khabib Nurmagomedov. I felt like the challenges at 155 for him, I didn't see the path to victory for most people against him. 170, when you're facing people who are similar in size or in many cases going to be bigger at 170, that's where I think the real challenges come. But Arman is good. I don't want to discount him. I don't want to make it sound like I think Islam's going to walk through him. I just think skill for skill, style for style, Islam is one of the toughest things to solve, and I don't know what Arman's going to be able to do differently.
Right now, current line, Islam Makhachev minus 255, Arman Tsarukyan coming back at plus 215. I feel like that makes sense.
That's where the line
it's not inflated, out of control like we see in a lot of Islam fights. This actually, this might be like the smallest favorite he's been since the Charles fight.
Wow. Yeah, and
that speaks to how good
Arman Tsarukyan is. Exactly. Yeah.
I actually also love this because, it had been rumored. Like, this one we kind of expected.
We knew, yeah.
The co-main we'll get into in a second. That one was more like, oh, shit, all right, they're actually doing this. I do love it, though, because it lines up to get a second fight from Islam in 2024, probably, like, around, like, October. Now, you just hinted at 170. Do you think there's a chance that he goes to 170 or he takes the Charles fight after that?
I think all those options are available. I think it's going to depend on how the things shake out in the middle of the year, right? When Ramadan is coming and when he's not fighting, how is 155 going to look and what is 170 going to look like? There's implications that would potentially happen from December if Shavkat and Ian? Wow. If Shavkat
Ian
or
Kutalaba.
Iwan Kutalaba. If Shavkat or Ian gets the win, presumably the winner of that is going to be facing Bilal Muhammad at some point later in the calendar year. The timing of that's going to matter. So I don't know what Islam's next fight is. I would not be surprised if it was at 170. I think he's one of these guys who fought Alexander Volkanovski twice. The featherweight champion, you gave him 2 cracks at me. I think it's probably his turn at some point. I don't know if that's the next fight, but I think he will have his chance at 170, and I think it will be relatively soon.
It's probably in a good position, too, that even if Arman Tsarukyan does pull off the upset, they'll likely just run it back the trilogy.
Yeah.
And he'll be fighting for a title again in 2024.
For sure.
Love to see Islam back in there. Love this fight. The matchmaking is perfect. There was no one else for him to fight. It had to be Arman. Glad that we finally officially got it on the books. The co-main event, though. Merab really taking on Umar Nurmagomedov. Merab, after the Petr Yan fight at UFC Macau, came out with several videos calling out Petr Yan for the title. He discussed maybe an immediate rematch against Sean O'Malley. Alas, he gets the undefeated cousin of Khabib Nurmagomedov, Umar. What do we think of this one, man? Do we feel like this was the right fight, or do you think it should have gone to Petr Yan?
This was the right fight. I understand the momentum behind the idea that like other fighters deserved this opportunity, but I do fall back on the idea that it has been extremely difficult for Umar Nurmagomedov to enter into the top of this division. The fighters up top there have been only fighting each other, and it has been hard for newer blood to break in. He got a win over somebody who I think is extremely credible, and so that puts him in the conversation. It's also just a timing thing. Like, he's available. Jan just fought. Like, this is the game now with the UFC. It's like, can you be ready and able to fight in a main event or co-main event in this case on the date that we need it? And Umar is ready, and Merab is ready, it seems like. So Sean O'Malley's out of the picture, right? There's all kinds of things that work in favor of this fight happening, especially because of the January date. Fine with it. think Umar is definitely worthy of the opportunity and think his skills are commensurate with a championship level fighter. So all good with it. No problems.
100% with you. Like we've been talking about it over the last several weeks, especially after Petr Yan's fight at UFC Macau. I feel like you give the shot to Umar Nurmagomedov. You get fresh blood in from Merab Dvalishvili. He's already blanked Petr Yan in a 5-round fight. We just saw him beat Sean O'Malley back in September. O'Malley only had one title defense at that point. Umar Nurmagomedov, the number 2 contender. He's got the win over Corey Sandhagen. At that point, you're getting into Davison Figueiredo at 5, who lost to Petr Yan. Marlon Chito Vera doesn't. He's not getting the title shot. He's already beaten Henry Cejudo. To me, it was clear to make it Umar Nurmagomedov. And now we get something really interesting here. Merab Dvalishvili has looked unbeatable as of late. And he has been fighting the highest of the high competition at 135. Obviously, that's how you become champion. Umar Nurmagomedov, you know, he's kind of looked unbeatable himself, 18-0. Sure, like he hasn't been going against the highest level, but he looked great in that Corey Sandhagen fight. Yeah. And now, I mentioned the odds for the main event. I had mentioned these earlier when we got future fights, but now this is a fight that is booked. You can bet on it. Umar Nurmagomedov minus 215, Merab Dvalishvili plus 185.
Yeah, that feels crazy to me.
I'm going to have a hard time not wagering a decent amount of money on Merab Dvalishvili in this fight, just from the fact that you're getting this dude who has just looked unreal as of late, has an endless cardio tank, will just chain together takedowns at will, has shown decent striking as well, and you're getting him at plus 185? Like, how do I not take that? Against the guy who has one ranked win.
For me, I think Merab is one of the toughest puzzles to solve in MMA because actually, let's start with the Umar side so we can do a proper comparison and contrast it. Umar Nurmagomedov is pretty well-rounded, right? Like, I look at him and I don't go like the striking. And this happened with Khabib. People tend to, because the wrestling is so good, underrate the striking. And we saw, like, there have been many times where we've seen this from Khabib where he would catch opponents off guard because they thought all he was a wrestler and his striking was definitely capable and competent in that realm. Not as good as Islam's. I'd say Islam's the best of that kind of like Dagestani, like wrestling heavy camp. Like Islam striking is probably the best of that group. But I think Umar is pretty capable on the feet, obviously very skilled in the wrestling. But the strategy, the style is a lot more straightforward, right? If Umar gets in on you and is trying to trip you or take you down against the cage, that is what you have to stop. If you can stop that, you have opportunities. That's how you have paths to victory rather. With Merab, unlike like a lot of different fighters, even if you're stopping him, right, from doing what you think he wants to do, which is, let's say he's in the striking, he's missing, or even if you are stuffing his takedowns, like Petr Yan did very capably, he's still winning the fight with his pace because he has you on the back foot the entire time, and then he's accumulating points when he is striking with you. It's a very unique style that I can't say I remember anybody else having in that regard, where he doesn't need to necessarily be like quote unquote effective with his attacks. He doesn't need to complete the takedowns. He doesn't need to land a lot of the strikes to be making his opposition wilt. So even if you are successful in thwarting his forward momentum in the first round, now you have to do that in the second round. Now you have to do that the third round. Now you have to do that the fourth round, and now you have to do that the fifth round. And without having him landed like super hard punches or high amplitude takedowns, he is putting such a wear and such a pace on the opponent that most are just going to wilt under that pressure. And it's not the same kind of like crushing control that like a Khabib has, or even let's say an Umar has, where once they're on top of you, it feels like you're just being strangled. You're just suffocating. It's just relentless pace in a way that I've never seen before, and I feel like he is one of the toughest problems to solve. And I say all that to say, like, I can't believe he's an underdog, but I guess I get it. The name means something, right? The Umar Nurmagomedov, the Nurmagomedov name means something, and so I understand where the respect is coming from. I think he's great as well. I need to see somebody have an answer for Merab, this current version of Merab that we've been seeing, before I'm ready to say somebody's going to beat him. I need to see it. I need to see what the way to beat this style is, because I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I'm exactly with you. And like, we've seen Merab get rocked before.
He can be hit.
Like, he can be hit, but also to that point, like, Umar isn't, like, I know the Hayoni Barcelos, like the head kick and everything like that, but like, he isn't this just like shut your lights off guy. So like, I won't be surprised if this goes all 5 rounds. And like you said, like, dealing with Merab for 5 rounds like that is a difficult puzzle to solve. It's a difficult task.
I think it's the toughest thing to face in MMA, truly.
And honestly, what really makes me love this fight that much more is that, like, Umar is undefeated. He's 18-0. Yes, he has looked fantastic. The Nurmagomedov means a lot. Means even more when you got an O next to your name. Means even more when you got Khabib Nurmagomedov in your corner backing you up. Like, we get why he's getting the title shot, but you can shut everybody up if you beat Merab Dvalishvili in January. Like,
if he beats Merab,
it's like, oh, this dude is just going to reign king for a minute.
That dude, for sure. But the lineage, the family,
crazy.
The team is at a level that's
here's 19-0 Umar Nurmagomedov, who's now the bantamweight champion of the world. If Islam Makhachev wins, here's 27-1 Islam Makhachev, 155 champion of the world, and here's their coach,
pound for pound number one,
according to us and according to Uncrowned. And then here's their coach, Khabib Nurmagomedov, 29-0, former lightweight champion of the world. Like, it's just like,
and by the way, Usman over in Bellator.
Oh yeah, and actually we all have to go catch a flight to get out to Bellator next week, so Usman can try and defend his Bellator title out there, who is also 18-0. Yeah, we are a combined, doing the math, just
near
quickly
101.
In my head, 55 plus 38. Do the math, 93-1. Like, my God, it's, you talk about aura, like, that family line is
that
aura,
lineage,
like, absolutely insane.
We've been talking lately about, like, the fighting nerds and, like, how crazy a run they're on.
And this is 1 year with no champions.
Yeah, but that's like, we're looking at one year sample size. That team, that region is just at a level that could not be even like, if he is able to claim that championship and beat Merab, it would be one of the things to talk about forever. Like, it is just pantheon.
Because, like, right now it just feels like, how long can Merab keep this up for?
Yeah.
Like, it's just like the work that he's putting in is truly impressive. Like, he is at the peak of his powers right now.
I'll be honest, transparently, like, I did not expect him to return in January. I was thinking, like, he'd be in Q1, sometime in the spring or something. The fact that he's coming back this soon, I don't, maybe they just felt like there wasn't going to be an opportunity for a Sean O'Malley fight or for a Piotr Jan rematch. And it felt like, hey, this is the time to do this. Let's get this one in. I'm extremely curious to see how this goes. These two fights are two of the highest level fights I can imagine the UFC making right now.
I don't know how true this is. Championship Rounds tweeted it out. They said Dana White says that Merab Dvalishvili came into his office late last night and said he is tired of listening to Umar disrespect him, which led to him booking the fight at UFC 311.
Whether that was true or not, it's good promotion by Dana White, because I think it definitely helps helps Merab, especially because lately we've seen Merab kind of calling for different names. And I think that kind of, like, helps streamline the narrative in a way that's like, no, Merab wants this guy, and he's gonna show everybody who the real champion is. So I'm into it. I like the narrative being set there.
1000%. Plus, we always say, like, these fighters aren't scared.
No,
like, these fighters are not scared, and Merab Dvalishvili is definitely not.
He would
scared.
Fight all three on the same night if the paycheck was right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, I can't wait for it. I just. Plus 185 sitting right there for the taking.
I don't get it. Truly,
I'm gonna have to have
somebody smarter who knows more technique than me, who can break this down, might be able to show me something about why.
This feels like one of those lines that it's just like the hindsight's gonna be 2020. It's gonna be like, you gave me plus 185 on Merab Dvalishvili, or it's gonna be like, Umar was only a minus 215. Like, you idiots. Like, he's an undefeated Nurmagomedov. Of course he won.
This is exactly one of those lines.
And this card, dude, now that we got the main and the co-main, is shaping up, man. LA, you are getting blessed with it. Yuri versus Jamal Hill already booked.
Wow.
Jilton Almeida versus Sergey Spivak.
Wow.
Big Malhadinho guy in here. Kevin Holland versus Rainier de Ritter, which is just a sick match.
That's so fun.
Like, 2 years ago, I would have been like, sign me up for that right now.
Yep.
Johnny Walker versus Bogdan Guskov.
Love it.
Going to get a lot of Johnny Walker versus Anthony Smith rematch jokes out of that one.
When is Anthony fighting?
Anthony's fighting this weekend.
Yeah.
I know, but Bogdan and Anthony look exactly alike. So they're like, Johnny Walker already fighting. Moving on. And then Peyton Talbot versus Hayoni Barcelos, which is just a fantastic step up in competition for Peyton Talbot.
Shout out to our guy.
That is going to be a fantastic one. Dude. That's 7 fights that are stacked deep right there. Obviously, other ones announced, but those 7 just, like, pop to me.
I feel like sometimes the UFC comes out of the January with a little bit of it comes out of, like, the holiday season with a little bit of, like, a ramping up, like a little bit of, like, slow build. This one's a step on the gas the moment this calendar turns over. That is a crazy first pay-per-view.
I love it. I love it, dude. And to do it in LA too, like it's gonna be
great.
And they're not going quietly into the good night. They are not ramping down heading into the holiday season. UFC 310 is one of the deepest cards of the year. Some fantastic fights on that one. So let's get into it.
Before we do that,
oh please,
remind the folks.
This is why I have to stay, keep me on a short leash here. We talked about this 8 million times. This was our segue into 310. But remember, guys, why would you use our friends over at NordVPN? Because you want to protect your private data, like bank details, passwords, and online identity. NordVPN can switch your virtual location, allowing you to save money by purchasing flights, hotels, subscriptions, and everything else from other countries at a cheaper price. I love the switch in the music here, and I forgot to mention off the top that the show is presented by NordVPN. We're all over the place. You can protect your data while traveling and use public Wi-Fi. NordVPN protects you wherever you are in the world. NordVPN's threat protection feature protects you from viruses, malicious malware, and phishing sites. It's the fastest VPN in the world, no buffering or lagging while streaming. That means you can watch your fights on the go. Look at me. I'm watching the fights in the air. I'm going to Paris and I'm watching the fights. I'm back in the States. I'm still watching the fights. Courtesy of NordVPN. Like I said, man, no buffering or lagging while streaming. Stops your ISP bandwidth from throttling. One NordVPN account can be used by up to 10 devices. So that means I'm on NordVPN, Rick's streaming. I'm on NordVPN, Frankie's streaming. I'm on NordVPN, Ariel's streaming out in Vegas right now. You can get premium cybersecurity for the price of a cup of coffee for every month. I had a cup of coffee this morning. I could have gotten next level premium cybersecurity.
I feel like you botched it. You should have got that.
The coffee ran right through me. The coffee's already out. I shouldn't even have used it. I could have gotten premium cybersecurity for the same exact price. To get the best discount off of your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/uncrown. That's nordvpn.com/uncrown. Our link will also give you 4 extra months on a 2-year plan. There's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Go ahead and see the link below in the description. You're already on YouTube. You might as well click it. Get NordVPN. You never want to stop being able to stream. You always got to be able to watch the fights. I was in Italy one time. Beautiful sunset, wine, UFC fights right on the laptop. It was really something to witness.
That's a man who's figured out his life. That's how my takeaway from that.
Exactly. We're getting that back into the swing of things of ad reads. I didn't think we were ever going to see the day here on Boys in the Back, but here we are. I mean, just 7 short episodes in, and now we're presented by NordVPN.
Yeah, no, we're moving up in the world. They see the vibes.
I'm actually on NordVPN right now.
What are we surfing? What are we browsing right now?
We don't kiss and tell. We don't share any of that. This weekend, though.
Okay.
You could use NordVPN to watch UFC 310 if you're traveling around the country. But UFC 310 is going down this Saturday out in Las Vegas. And like we talk about deep cards with UFC 311, this one might go toe for toe, punch for punch, shot for shot with it. This is one of the deepest cards of the year. It's just like you're looking at the prelims, just like Clay Guida, Chase Hooper, Chris Weidman, Randy Brown, Brian Battle, Movsar Evloev, Aljamain Sterling. Like, it is deep, and we'll get into all of that. But let's start with the main event of the evening, Alexandre Pantoja taking on the newcomer Kai Asakura. I don't know how to attack this one because we are both on the same side of the coin in the sense that we love Alexandre Pantoja.
He's one of my favorites.
When Many Men hits, something happens.
Yes.
Like chills down the spine. It's one of the great, like I associate Many Men with Alexandre Pantoja. Like it is just like, it's his song. I know a lot of other people use it, but like that's who I associate it with it now. And it's just like, it gives me chills. He's incredible. On the flip side of the coin, you have the potential for like the next superstar in the UFC in Kai Asakura. Like, if he comes out here and wins in big fashion and becomes the first Japanese-born UFC champion ever, like, the sky is the limit for him.
Yeah, we go through this every time we kind of have a star who's not American or not Brazilian, not from the common countries that we've kind of gotten used to seeing as champions in the UFC. like look to Ilia Topuria, right? Or even Merab.
Merab got a parade. He was welcome home like as a literal hero.
Yeah, or Yuri, similarly to him, right?
Yes.
In the Czech Republic.
Yes.
We see internationally, globally, this kind of support for certain from certain countries for these athletes, for these heroes in combat sports for them, that is unparalleled. And I think Kai Asakura is bringing that with him from Japan, right? Like you have been beating the drum in terms of how big a global star this guy really is, and how big he is as, in terms of being a known entity, a presence in the Japanese culture. I'm not as versed in it as you. I know him more on the fight side, but it does feel like if the UFC has their first Japanese champion, that's a market opening up to them in a way that it hadn't previously. Like they have done events in Japan before, in fact, some great events in Japan. But it feels like an opportunity to open up a market in a way that they could not have previously. And Japan is still a fight country. Japan is still a place that loves fighting in a way that the US does, Australia does, Brazil does. And now you have a Japanese champion. It would be big business for the UFC. Plus, in addition to that, he's got all the swag, the quote unquote aura. He gives me, personally to me, he feels akin to like a Charles Oliveira. That's what now there's certainly the blonde hair, there's the glasses, there's kind of like the direct thing, but there's also like, he has a little bit of like a quiet confidence, stoicism to him that also reminds me of Charles. Like, I don't need to oversell. I don't need to like oversell myself. I don't need to beg for attention. I'm just going to be me, and people will see the vibes and want to be part of it.
You mentioned like Yuri, Ilya, Merab.
Yeah.
Like, these are like Spain, like these countries may not necessarily be like MMA hungry.
That's right.
Like,
yeah.
Japan loves martial arts. Like they are diehard fans. Like we see it in the Ryzen shows and everything currently, but just like they have a history of it as well. Like
kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, everything.
Oh, like everything. And then you look back at like some of the highest attended mixed martial arts show in the history of the world, and it's just like number 1, Pride, 71,000. Number 4, Pride, 53,000. Number 5, Pride, 53,006. Pride, 52,007. Pride, 48,000. Like I'm looking at the top 12 attended, and this was posted 8 years ago, so it could have been updated. But it's like of the 12, 8 of them are Pride shows, like taking place in Japan.
Yeah,
like they have a love for this sport that could go such a long way if they get a UFC champion in Kai Asakura. And like you said, man, like he has the look, like he has the swag, he has the backing, he has the fans. Like I pulled some pictures from his Instagram. Like you said, Charles, like he really does just like have this look. Like what is that? Yeah, I'm driving Toyotas over here. Is that a Lamborghini? Is that a Porsche? Like he's just rolling around the block like in sports cars. He's got the blonde hair, the leather on. I think we have a few more. He's rocking the Hello Kitty cup outside of T-Mobile Arena. Like he has this like effortless swag to him, like which can be huge. And like he's also an incredibly talented fighter as well.
Yeah.
But like when it comes to popularity, just like a quick breakdown. Like I love the IG test and everything like that.
Yeah.
For Kai Asakura, it's YouTube. Like he is like a YouTube star in Japan. 1.37 million subscribers for his YouTube channel.
That's not bad.
And look at the views on some of these videos. 23 million, 14 million,
Lord.
13 million, 10 million, 8.3, 8 million, 6.4. Like he just goes and goes, man. And like you're putting that up. This is also in like just Japanese speaking channel. Like there's no English on here. And like that's bigger than DJ. DJ's at like, God bless him, he's killing the game at like 850. Izzy at like 1.15 mil. Pereira at 532K. O'Malley at 928K. Habib has less at 1.3 million. Like maybe he's not putting in the same grind as Kai Asakura, but like it speaks to how much of a star this guy could be. So if he comes out here, look at this. YouTube videos with over 1 million views on it. Kai Asakura, 170. And he only has like 600 videos. So like a third of the dude's videos are doing over 1 million. Like that's
nutty.
That's more than all of them combined. Like
by 3x or something crazy. Yeah, that's
exactly,
a lot.
Man.
Yeah.
So like the potential for the star power is there. He's got the look, he's got the skills, he's got the backing right now. And now he has this chance immediately right off the rip to become a champion. It's this incredible opportunity that like part of me, like in the back of my head, feels like whether they would ever admit it or not, that the UFC's like, wouldn't be the worst thing if Kai pulled this thing off, man.
Yeah, there's money to be made in Kai Asakura. I would dare argue, though, even if he doesn't win, there could be money to be made. We see this. Like, there are just guys who don't necessarily need a belt to be a star. And so, think as an example, Charles Oliveira, not the champion right now, right?
True.
Still a guy that the UFC banks on to sell pay-per-views, to be a star.
Go put on a great performance against Alexandre Pantoja, like a Steve Urseg, where like people still respect him afterwards. It's just like, let's go do a fight night in Tokyo, headlined by Kai Asakura.
You win that, maybe you get another title shot. I think there's a lot of potential here, win or lose with him, because of the things that we're talking about, right? His celebrity outside. I believe he was on a reality show with his brother in Japan that was very, very popular, and that kind of helped some of the celebrity and the stardom. It's just a no-brainer. This in the absence of a true guy that you could look at flyweight and go, needs to be fighting Alexandre Pantoja, this is a perfect place to insert Kai Asakura. He can either upend the entire division, and now you've got a global superstar, especially in Japan, where you can now go for a massive pay-per-view type event. In the way that Naoya Inoue is in Japan all the time, fighting there and putting on these massive events. You could be doing the same thing with Kai Asakura if he is the champion, or maybe even if not, you could still potentially put on a massive event. But it feels like this is the right time to make the gamble, to roll the dice and go, look, there's not a guy at 125 that is knocking on the door and has to be in there with Pantoja. Let's bring in some new blood. Let's give him an opportunity. He sinks or swims. And then from there, you kind of course correct. Maybe this wasn't the opportunity. Maybe the level was a little too high. Or maybe it wasn't. Maybe you find out he is that good, but he's not the champion. There's all kinds of fallout from this that I'm going to be more interested in than potentially even the fight itself. Like, what is the next step is going to be super fascinating for him.
It really is just like genius matchmaking.
It's great. It's perfect.
They really had no one else for Pantoja at this point. He's cleared out the entire division.
The other best guys, he's beaten twice each. Like,
yeah,
it's just kind of...
I have to break that down. Like, I have to just read the resume because it is just so jarring, like, to go through how accomplished he is against the top 15. But, like, yeah, he's just cleared out the division. So, like, yeah, let's sign Kai. Let's put him in a title shot. And, like, dude, look at the MLB right now. Shohei Ohtani is the face of the league. He's now a World Series champion for one of the biggest franchises in the sport. And it's just like, yeah, he's a Japanese-born dude who doesn't speak any English, but the fans just relate to him because of how sick he is.
He's the best baseball player on the planet and one of the best baseball players ever. Like, there's just something about the success that does not need English. You do not need to have a translation for that. The success it speaks every language that he has.
Drip is universal, bro.
Drip is universal.
When you got the blonde hair and you're sick of fighting, like, dude, you don't need much else. So last time Asakura fought was December of 2023 in Ryzen against Juan Archuleta for the Bantamweight belt.
Yes, he's been at Bantamweight.
I was going to say, I feel like that's something that, like, people are kind of, like, not sleeping on, but, like, it's not getting mentioned that much. Like, he spent his entire Ryzen career at Bantamweight at 135. Yeah. So, like, he's going to be making the cut down to 125. He's kind of a tall flyweight as well. Like, 5'8" isn't... He's going to have the height advantage over him. But, like, theoretically, it is, like, champ versus champ. Like, it is the UFC flyweight champ versus the Ryzen Bantamweight champion. Obviously, they're not going to market it.
They're not advertising it that way, yeah.
But, like, dude... We've seen guys come from Ryzen and have success here. Prohashka, Manel Kopp, and like this dude has fought guys. Like, he's beaten Alatang Haley, who's in the UFC. He's beaten Kyoji Horiguchi. He's beaten Manel Kopp. He's beaten Hirsomasa Ogikubo, who has a win over Pantoja on Tough. But the only issue with everyone that I just listed, all those great wins, he also has a loss to Kyoji Horiguchi, Manel Kopp, and Ogikubo. Funny enough, he is 21-4. All four of his losses, Jae-Hoon Min and the three guys I just mentioned, he also has wins over all of them.
Yeah.
Not necessarily rematches.
It's not always avenging.
Back.
Sometimes
he's not always
lost
avenging,
the second one,
but it is just like, I was like looking through, I was just like, oh, like he lost to Horiguchi. Oh, he also beat him. Oh, he lost to Manel Kopp. Oh, he also beat him. Oh, Ogikubo. And then like the last one was Jae-Hoon Moon, and I was just like, no way he also beat him. And then I was like, oh, sure enough, dude. Like, this guy will not let a loss go. It's fantastic. But like, dude, he's legit. This is going to be a fantastic fight. He's an exciting fighter as well. Like, if you just go back and watch him, he has nasty knees. Like, he has big power. Actually, he broke a dude's jaw. Like, we always go to, like, I think it's the MVP X-ray from Bellator, where he, like, busted dude's skull. Like,
cyborg skull, yeah.
We have the picture of just, like, the completely busted jaw back in 2019 against Oka Sasaki. Like, just, like, completely shattered his jaw.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
Terrifying, dude. Like, he wins most of his fights 16 of his 21 wins are by finish, and Pantoja is no stranger to finishes as well. So yeah, man, I think we're in store for a barn burner, and there's a potential for a new star to be born. I know the people's main event is the co-main event, but like, dude, I cannot wait for this fight.
I'm very excited about this. I'm very interested in seeing where he fits into the picture. I'm very interested in seeing how he looks at flyweight. He has only fought, I believe this is correct, I think he's only fought twice in MMA since 2021, the end of 2021. So he hasn't been super active. I'm curious if this is just going to be two deep waters. Like, this is where we make the transition. This is where we flip. This is where we start going, okay, let's talk about Alexandre Pantoja. Because
We just talked about what Kai Asakura could be.
Yeah.
Like he likes to win by finish. Alexandre Pantoja has never been finished. You said, are the waters too deep? Who's going to drag you down to those deep waters? Alexandre Pantoja, I just have to say it if you're not familiar with the man's game. He's going for his third title defense. They didn't really have an opponent for him. Why is that? Against the top 15. Number 1 contender, Brandon Royval. He has already beaten twice. Number 2, Brandon Moreno. He is 3-0 against. He also beat number 4, Kai Kara France on tough. Oh, yeah, he choked out number 6, Alex Perez in 90 seconds. Beat Steve Erceg in his last title defense. Beat number 9, Manel Kopp earlier in his career. And he beat number 15, Matt Schnell. He is a combined 10-0 against the top 15 at flyweight. So, yeah, they didn't really have much for him in terms of matchmaking, something fresh. So this is why I say it is perfect to bring Kai Asakura in. I love the idea of what he could become, but this is a very tough test.
You laid that out perfectly. I'm glad you went through that top 15. To me, as you're reading that, the thing I've thought and the thing I've been trying to kind of soft sound, but now I'll say definitively, I think Alexandre Pantoja is the most underrated champion the UFC has.
Currently or ever?
Currently, for sure, right? Because when you think about like guys who are dominating, when you think about the pound for pound list, he kind of just doesn't come up. He's kind of the guy who's forgotten on the sidelines, which I don't get to a certain extent, because you talked about his dominance, and sometimes alongside the dominance, you get safety. You get guys who are protecting their streaks, who are protecting their championship. He is the opposite of all that. He is not that type of fighter. He is winning these fights by walking straight at danger, throwing winging punches, and trying to take you down to choke you to sleep. That is how he wins fights. He is a finish machine. He is trying to end you with every breath in his body. He will push forward and try to finish the fight. And it makes him extremely exciting, especially when he's in there against guys like Brandon Royval, like Brandon Moreno, who are also going to fight back in that same way, right? Who are coming for blood, who are trying to finish. He has the accolades that you just listed. He's now a multi-defense champion. He has the exciting fighting style. I don't know what's missing here. I think it's the size, and it has always been the size. And it is the reason when we look at who are some of the underrated champions of the past, it's like the DJs,
Johnson,
right? It's the ones who, they were smaller, but like DJ's doing things in the octagon that people have never seen before with the whiz bar where he's throwing, what was his name? Ray Borg up and then taking his arm. Like, it has to be a size thing where people just can't overcome that. But if you watch the fights, Alexandre Pantoja should be your favorite fighter.
Dude, he's so sick.
He's so sick, and he's dominant, and he's just destroying everybody in his division in a way that other champions are not. Like, you look at some of the other resumes, and you're like, yeah, these guys have cleared out the division. He's cleared it out 5 times over. Like, he just dominates everybody. I think he's the most underrated now. I think there's an argument for him being the most underrated ever. I think some of the names on that list are like the Demetrius. Aljamain Sterling comes to mind. I think he never got a fair shake after the Petr Yan way that he claimed the belt. Tyron Woodley, I think, never got a fair shake. There's certain guys like you just look at and you go, for one reason or another, they weren't well liked by the fan base, or the fan base had some criticisms of their resume or whatever it was, and they never hit that corner where they can turn it, right? There's certain guys who, like a Sean O'Malley, right? With Sean O'Malley, in the lead up, in the climb to be champion, there was so much like, he's not really that good. He's a fraud. He's going to get fraud checked. And then when he passed that test and wasn't fraud checked, everybody turned the corner. Then it was like, it's the Sean O'Malley era. He's the new breed. He's the evolution. And people turned back toward him. Some of these champions just never get that turn. They never hit that turn where the fans just go, we love you. DJ has hit it.
I was just about to say, it's actually hilarious. DJ's hit it, and it's
10 years later
gone from the, like, you guys always tell me, like, I was just like, man, I wish I was around for like, be like a diehard fan during the DJ era. And you're like, no, you don't. Like, no one really hyped him up at all. Whereas like his last couple fights in one, people were like, Demetrius Johnson fight week, let's go.
To be fair, that is 100% accurate. To be fair, though, he was also anti-excitement at that time in terms of he never opened up. He was very safe in interviews. He was like not cursing. He was doing this whole like very reserved type of dude. So when he did start to go, oh, things are not right here, it was like, oh shit, Demetrius Johnson speaking out. Like,
well, to that point, dude, that's kind of what I don't get about like it. I don't think anyone really like dislikes Pantoja.
No,
but, like, it just kind of feels like he's forgotten. Like currently on the UFC pound for pound rankings,
tell me.
He's number 11. Like,
that doesn't make sense.
He's behind Volk, who's coming off of 2 losses. He's behind Leon, who's coming behind a loss. Like he's right next to Max, who's coming off a loss. Like he's like mixed in with people that has losses, and he's a champ looking for his 3rd straight title defense. And then like you talk about the opening up, man. Like the dad, are you proud of me now on the mic after getting the title?
Sick
talking
promo.
about he was an Uber Eats driver, and now like all that's behind him because he's received this championship status. Like it's just like it's an incredible story. Like he's a sick fighter. Like he is like, you know, like maybe he's a little bit more reserved. Like he's not the most like brash personality, but like he just seems like a good, genuine dude. Like I don't know.
He's not.
He might be onto something. He might be currently the most underrated champion.
He's not out there talking the shit, but you don't need to. Like we've seen that.
Actually, let's just go through it. Like especially on the men's
Champs?
side, definitely not John Jones, definitely not Alex Pereira, definitely not DDP. Like Bilal, you could make an argument for. Like
he just got the belt.
Yeah, like
that's hard.
Islam, definitely not.
Definitely
Ilya,
not.
definitely not. Merab, definitely not. So there's the men, and then it's Chevy and Zhang. Pena, there you go.
Yeah, shout out to our girl.
Shout out to our girl, Juliana Pena. I think you have a good case for that, dude. But with the performances that he puts on, with the style of his fighting, with the story that he has, like he should be a much bigger star.
What baffles me is, as I said, sometimes the dominance is not paired with the excitement. He pairs those two things. He is exactly what you should want from an MMA fighter. And flyweight is a great division right now, and he has just decimated it to the point that they are now looking outside the organization.
He's like the division is just done.
In dominant fashion with exciting wins where he is walking straight into punches. It's not this, he's a grappler primarily, or his best skill is his grappling, but he's standing there winging punches with people. Steve Erceg has 3 heads on him, and he's standing there trading with them. This is just how this is.
He also has the DDP effect of everyone's just like, oh, he's gassing.
Yeah.
It's just like, nope.
Pantoja is more dangerous than regular Pantoja.
He's just going to throw looping shots and eat everything that you throw at him.
Have I made it clear yet that I really love Alexandre Pantoja?
We are big. We are big Pantoja supporters. Yeah. I mean, like, also, like, all of my, like, in my head where I'm just like, damn, it'd be kind of sick if Kai won. Like, I can really get behind that. That would be really cool. As soon as Many Men hits on Saturday night, I'm going to be like, never mind, Pantoja. What's the live line? -500. No, but, like, I said that, oh, yeah, you know, like, the UFC, like, sneaky might be like, a lot of money to be made in Japan. Like, the rest of the flyweight division is like, Kai Asakura, please do it this weekend. Like Brandon Royval versus Kai Asakura would be a sick fight. Like
Moreno.
And like we talk about like Pantoja puts on fun fights with guys that are willing to engage. Kai Asakura is that. Like it is going to be a fun fight. I really think someone's going to get finished here. Like I think it's going to be a great stylistic match.
Style-wise, Kai Asakura is looking to maintain range, strike. He's a sharp, crisp striker. He's going to have opportunities to hit Pantoja, as we outlined. Pantoja is there to be hit sometimes. That is his style. He is just a berserker who is coming after you, and that opens him up. He can be hit, and we've seen him be hit. But what we've also seen is after he's hit, it just kind of doesn't faze him. Like he's just unfazable.
The man. Cannot wait for that. Main event is going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
Quick prediction as we go out.
I've got Pants. I just can't.
I've got Pantoja as well. I think he probably gets it done by finish. On top of that,
something submission, right? Like on the ground somewhere.
He does. I think he does have a nice advantage on the ground. Co-main event of the evening, people's main event. Shavkat Rakhmonov, 18 up, 18 down, all by finish. Ian Garry, 15 up, 15 down, 2 perfect records. Both of them essentially just putting their contendership on the line of like winner gets the next shot at the belt. Absolutely cannot wait for this one. It is a massive affair. And when we have massive affairs, we got to bring in some help over to
heavy hitters, right?
Over to the Emerald Isle. The man representing the great nation of Ireland, one Petesy Carroll. Petesy, what's good, big dog?
How's it going, boys? I got the Guinness hat out for this.
I love it. I should have worn my Guinness shirt, and we could have been matching.
I was raging that I didn't see the Guinness shirt when you wore it. I think you wore it Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
I was watching the show after I got off, and I was like, "Oh my god, how did I just let
Oh,
this
it's a good one.
go by me without
with the
it's
faded
fantastic.
purple on it as well. I got a good one today. Action Bronson, shout out. We should have
Nice.
just sunk a few pints while we talked about this live on the air. It would have been great banter.
Petesey's not? I thought you were, Petesy.
So I've had 5 already.
Oh, okay.
You know?
Fucking hell.
We're catching him on the back end.
All right, man. We just teed it up 33-0 combined record between them. Just like a fantastic fight. I don't know how you couldn't be excited for this one. Both these dudes, game as they come. Your thoughts on the co-main event this weekend?
So I said from the get-go that I thought Ian had a really good chance. People ate me alive for it. But anyone that saw him on Ariel's show this week, you can't deny his confidence and you can't deny his ability. You know, when you watch this guy fight, his IQ is fantastic. He knows where he can win fights. He keeps them there and he gets the business done. Like, he's making these comparisons to the Jeff Neal fight, to the Magny fight, both of them actually common opponents with him and Shavkat. And it's hard to argue against that too. Now, was it as exciting as Shavkat? Absolutely not. But he certainly did the job in a cleaner fashion, you'd say. Obviously, Shavkat getting finishes, him not. But, you know, the Magny beatdown was epic, to be fair. It was nearly sadistic. I felt like he was enjoying himself a bit too much, just chopping the legs of Magny throughout that fight. I think a lot of people, when this was announced, would say, oh, well, finally Ian is about to get done. And you look at the line, I'm sure you've looked at him, Connor. Shavkat's a big favourite, I would have thought. When I saw the line first, you guys will remember, I was like, I'm quite surprised he's out by that distance. But in all seriousness, he probably deserves to be based on what he's done. One thing I'll say about Ian is he didn't have a very amicable split from his team KF, the gym that took him to Cage Warriors and then kind of split ways with him just before the Cage Warriors title fight with Jack Grant. But speaking to guys out of that gym, like, and again, not a very amicable split there. They are adamant that Ian is going to get the job done here. They think he has a style to do this. His distance control will be simply too much for Shavkat to get by. And it's hard for me to pick against Shavkat, to be quite honest, but I really think that Ian is a live dog in this situation. Is that my bias showing, is what I want to ask you guys.
I actually don't think it is, man. I mean, you actually just mentioned it, the Neil Magny and the Jeff Neal. Like, if you look at both of their 3 lead-up fights to this one, Shavkat goes Neil Magny, Jeff Neal, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Ian goes Neil Magny, Jeff Neal, Michael Venom Page. Like, they both fought Neil Magny and Jeff Neal and then fought predominantly strikers, and they won all of them. Like, people get this aura around them that they are just unbeatable and there's no way that they can ever be stopped. And I think Shavkat Rakhmonov has that. It's hard not to think that when you're 18-0, all of your wins by finish. So I don't think you're crazy to think that Ian's a live dog. He's 15-0. He's obviously supremely talented. To think that he's just going to get steamrolled, I think would be a naive take.
Yeah, I think he's really, really good. And I think the other side of this is Shavkat has a lot more to lose. Like, he is the guy everyone's saying, this is the future champion. Oh, Bilal's not going to be able to deal with this guy. Whereas Ian taking on short notice, you know, jumping a week ahead of what he was scheduled to do against Joaquin Buckley, I think that all plays in his favor. He goes in here and beats Shavkat. Like, what are people going to say at that stage? Shavkat, on the other hand, if he loses, I mean, that really kind of destroys his whole aura within the division, right? He is where Hamzat Chimaev was initially when he came in at 170. Like, who wants to touch this guy? He is that guy now. He is the guy many people feel is a champion and waiting for Ian to go in and get the business done against him would be absolutely massive for him. I have officially picked Shavkat on Tuesday. But I am very much on the fence here. I think I'm sticking with Shavkat, but Ian is a very, very big chance. In Ireland, obviously, I've talked about this before. He hasn't got the same buzz that other fighters have got before, but I was happy to see him featured in some big, big publications. Like, he was featured on Joe, which is a massive culture website. They do a lot of sport as well. And he was featured on the national broadcaster with Game On RT, which is a big drive time radio show. I think what put Ian behind the 8 ball to a large degree when he came into the UFC was his linking himself to Conor McGregor. Like, this was something that he was shouting from the rooftops throughout his first 3-4 fights. As I've told you guys on many occasions, Conor McGregor, not the most loved man in Ireland, potentially the most hated man in Ireland, to be quite honest. And Ian doing that, I think, put him behind the 8 ball with Irish sports fans in general from the get-go. Obviously, we all know what's happened with Conor over the last few weeks. His reputation has not got any better on the back of that. But I'd love to see Ian step forward now, his own identity. We don't care about how much Conor McGregor is your hero. We understand that he's inspired a whole generation of fighters. We understand that he's turned this whole nation onto the sport, but we want to see a new kind of hero here. And I can remember saying that to Ian in the very early days of his pro career. I used to walk Ian Garry around to media members at Cage Warriors event, and I'd say, this guy is the next big deal out of here. Ireland is going to have a really, really big deal in the UFC one day, and his name is Ian Garry, and I'm delighted that he's going on and doing me proud by living up to that billing that I gave him so long ago.
I have so many follow-ups from this. I want to ask you about Conor McGregor specifically later, so we'll get to that on the back end. Staying on this Ian Garry train, you mentioned that he wasn't necessarily the beloved son of Ireland in the way that Conor McGregor was, and some of that is the association with trying to kind of like be in the same mold as Conor McGregor. Do you feel like that tide has already turned? Are you starting to see that? You mentioned some of the media that he'd been doing in the publications as he's not linked to Conor as much and he is forging his own path? Or does he need this to be the moment where he can turn the corner? Where is he at in that kind of process, that transition?
Well, the thing is, like, with McGregor, casual sports fans were invested in him. This was a completely new thing. McGregor's personality was one that where you had to react to it, whether you hated him or loved him, you had a very strong feeling and you were watching the fights. The problem is that he kind of rubbed Ireland up the wrong way to the point where he's cast a shadow over the whole sport. And I don't know if casual sports fans are willing to kind of take MMA back in. It's kind of been sullied by its association with McGregor to a large degree. So there's always that. And as well as that, like when Ian was being interviewed by these Irish publications, of course he was talking up McGregor and this guy is my hero and stuff like that. And immediately when those headlines are coming out, the next McGregor, all this stuff, and this is editors doing this kind of stuff, that story has been told 100 times in Ireland. Every fighter coming out of SBG for the last 10 years, every fighter coming out of Ireland for the last 10 years has been branded as the next McGregor, and it's just compassion fatigue at some stage. There will never be another Conor McGregor. We need to get over that. What we need now is a different kind of sports star within MMA to turn the nation back onto it. But that's very, very difficult given where the sport is at right now. It's still not a recognized sport. I would say there's a stigma around MMA. People say MMA and they think of a certain kind of thing. And I think that's very unfair because there's so many great people involved in the sport. But unfortunately, that's just where we're at, Rick.
Yeah, so it sounds like what you're saying is they don't really know Ian Garry that well. They don't know him to get behind him because they've kind of been turned off to a certain degree. And he needs to kind of break through that and get the sport back into the right regard where he can have his opportunity to shine there. My favorite thing, something that I also thought about while you were speaking about his former gym, is the training sessions, the footage that we've seen and things like that. I am so fascinated by the angle that both these men have trained together. They know how that went in the training room. They both know. There's nobody who doesn't understand what happened in that room, and they are both extremely confident. I love when we get this. I love when we get people who have trained at this level together, and they both know what happened in the room, and they kind of allude to it. They kind of talk about it, but they don't outright say it. We actually saw Ian Garry at Media Day, I believe, say something to the effect of like, yeah, Shavkat did tap me out. He did do exactly what he said, but if he believes that same guy is showing up, he's sorely mistaken. I just love the drama of that. Do you think that those training room sessions, do you think that time in the training room together is going to affect this fight? Or is Ian so completely different? Is Shavkat so completely different? What do you take about their time training together?
Now, I could be mistaken in this, but I can remember I heard Ian talking about this before his training session with Shavkat. And I think he was brought in during Shark Tank rounds, as in a fresh opponent every round when he was preparing for a fight. The fight, I can't remember which one it was. But if you imagine that Shavkat's in the last couple of weeks of training and Ian's a fresh body coming in on the mats, it is a different situation. And I'll also say, like, the fighters I've talked to throughout the years, they don't really hold a lot of weight for what happens in sparring. Like, I think they mostly would agree with Ian that sometimes, and you used to hear Hicks and Gracie talk about this kind of stuff, I'm sure you remember, Rick, like when he said sometimes when you're training with Hickson, he's only looking to do one thing. He's not actually playing a game of sparring here. He's trying to hit some weird toe hold, and that's all he's going after. So some guys might think they're doing pretty well against him and then find out later, oh, he was looking for an inverted heel hook. That's all he was looking for during that 5 minutes. Now, I don't know if that's what Ian was going off, but I I did think it was funny that Shavkat had that up his sleeve there. Like, what was it? Ariel asked him, what would they have seen if the footage had kept going?
They saw the
They
full
would have seen
footage.
Ian Garry tapping.
Yeah.
Yeah. They would have seen Ian Garry tapping. Brilliant stuff. And look, that's a thing that I feel is very, very important in this fight. And I said this, I think Monday or Tuesday. If Ian Garry is winning this fight, people are not going to be jumping up and down and on the edge of their seats. It will be a distance kind of fight. It will be a point scoring kind of exercise for Ian. I think Shavkat's the opposite of that. He wants to be in the pocket. He wants to be clinching. I think Ian needs to look at him like he's quicksand. If I touch this guy, I'm going down. Because we've seen what Shavkat can do in the clinch. He's very quick at latching up guillotines, things like that. I think, do you remember when Ortega first came to the UFC and people would fight him, and as soon as they like any type of clinch, they would nearly be in a submission? I don't think
only in the third round
there.
Though. He'd wait 3 rounds every time. It was always the third round. He'd get beat up for 2 rounds, and then as soon as they touched him, he'd sub him out.
Absolutely. Like, but look, I'm not saying that Shavkat is Brian Ortega, but I think that Ian needs to visualize him in that manner to have success in this fight. The problem with his path to success for me, and correct me if I'm wrong, boys, I think 25 minutes of that kind of fight would take incredible discipline and focus. And that's a lot. And look, Ian definitely has that. But against Shavkat, this boogeyman, this guy who's put 18 guys away, 18 guys who step into a cage with him, I think that's a very difficult task.
Yeah, I mean, you just mentioned it. We saw that Shavkat can stay dangerous throughout the course of the 15 minutes. Go back and watch the Jeff Neal fight. One of the most iconic pictures from that year. It's just choking him out, standing up. So I actually think the 25 minutes is fine for Shavkat. I actually just think that gives him more time, if he hasn't already, to potentially finish Ian Garry. It really is. Like, I think Ian is live, but like he's gonna have to fight a damn near perfect fight to get this one done.
Yeah.
But we've seen Ian Garry say, after some of the performances that I think people would be critical of, saying like maybe he wasn't aggressive enough or wasn't chasing the finish, him say it was a masterclass. So I think he has that in him to think of this fight in the way that for 25 minutes, I need to be disciplined, I need to be on the outside, I need to be striking, and I need to be out. I cannot be in range for him to grab me, I cannot be in range for him to shoot on me and take me down. I also think there's kind of like an overblown sentiment that like Shavkat is some, guy who's shooting double legs across the cage.
Yeah.
Like, he's a great grappler, but he's kind of striking with dudes until it's time.
He's opportunistic.
Yeah, he's just looking for a finish. That's all he's doing. He's not this. He's not Habib. He is not shooting
8
at your
knockouts,
leg.
10 subs.
Yeah.
It's sort of just like whichever way you want it.
So I'm not sure that it's this game where it's like if Ian gets into any close situation, Shavkat's immediately looking for a takedown. I think we'll see quite a bit of striking in this fight, but I do think it would behoove Ian to be on the outside, to be using kicks, staying at range, and trying to score points that way. And I think he has a style that can do it, to the point that you're making, PT. 25 minutes against that against the guy who's a shark is very, very difficult. You're in with a great white, and it is very difficult to just kind of stay disciplined that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you look at the Jeff Neal fights for Ian, and you look at the MVP fight, he chooses his grappling moments really, really well. Like, he knows how to mix it up, but I don't think he can use that in the same way as he can against Shavkat. Like, I don't think it would be wise for him to suddenly hit a double leg, which we saw him do against MVP. We saw him take the back, situations like that. I don't think they're going to open themselves up like that too easy against Shavkat. And I think if he did, even if he did successfully enter a grappling situation with Shavkat, there's no guarantee that he's leaving it very well, and I think Ian, I always thought Ian was a pretty good grappler, to be fair. I think a lot of people always said, like, this guy's just a striker, and look, you can understand that because that's most of what we saw when he came into the UFC. I will say I think he's more confident in his grappling. I think the time with Shoot the Box, I think the time with Damian Maia, with Charles Oliveira has brought him into a level of, I can do this with these guys, but is that just giving him enough rope to hang himself with? That's my question.
I mean, those are some pretty good grapplers. If you are going to train with anybody to get your grappling to where it needs to be, the names that you just listed off are the names that you'd want to be in there with. But to your point, maybe that confidence gets a little too high when you're in there with those guys. I see it as a competitive fight, but I just can't escape the feeling that, like, over the course of the 5, that Shavkat's going to find something, going to find an opportunity where Ian slips up and he just has a finish waiting for him.
Can we talk about how game these two dudes are? Like,
Oh, yeah.
Shavkat had the title shot and was just like, well, I'm not going back to Kazakhstan without a fight. I'll take on whoever. And Ian Gary's the one that stepped up. Ian Garry, on the flip side, had a fight against Joaquin Buckley and was just like, yep, I'll put it all on the line against Shavkat Rakhmonov, put the O on the line, how close I'm getting to a title. PC, do you think that this, win or lose, this will help Ian Garry, unless he just gets the doors blown off of him in the first round or something? But the fact that he took this fight, has put everything on the line, and is game to go against Shavkat Rakhmonov, do you think that will win him over in the eyes of some fans?
I think it has to, I think it was quite unfair what happened to Ian, in terms of his personal life getting kind of raked through by people on social media. But I understand why people dislike him away from that. Like, nothing to do with his personal life, his family, anything like that. I can understand why he'd rub people up the wrong way. Like, anyone who's peacocking like that is going to rub people up the
perfect
wrong
word
way.
for it.
Like as you said earlier, Rick, like, him calling these kind of these like routine victories for him, no doubt about it. But like talking about a masterclass and things like that, like that's just gonna rub this fan base up the wrong way. We talk about it endlessly. UFC has put a lot of weight behind entertainment. There's no doubt about that. And when people don't leave entertained, it's like they've disregarded the sport element of it. I'm not one of those people, but I see it every fight night, right? Like you could see like a real systematic performance, which could be very impressive for us guys who watch all of these fights. But if people don't see people getting splattered, they're not happy. And I think one thing about Ian the last few fights is he doesn't look to have the same wallop as he used to have. When he was coming up in Cage Warriors, like that was his thing. Like if he catches you, you're going down. I've seen people wonder if it's something to do with the vegan diet he's on, all this kind of stuff.
Oh wow.
Like, he seemed like he he seemed like he had more muscle on his body then. Like obviously fantastic shape. I think he's still great in great shape. But I don't know if he's kind of geared his body towards these kind of 25-minute things. Like this is a guy who knew he's going to be in the title mix since he was 0-0.
Yeah.
And that's no bullshit. Like this is a guy that knew, and again, I don't think he's lying when he says, I look at these fights different. I have a very high level IQ. I believe that, and I believe it's true. And I believe that he'd be the type of guy that would start saying, right, I need to start pushing my body towards main event conditioning for 25 minutes. And let's be honest, he does very well in that kind of fight. He controls fights when he's in them. And I think for 25 minutes, he'd feel even more comfortable because if you saw before the Jeff Neal fight, he only put on 7 pounds after the weigh-in. I think he was 177 on the day of the fight, whereas Neal was up around 195. So that's a guy that's built for distance, as far as I'm concerned, rather than a sprint.
Yeah, and also I just think I think we've seen enough of Ian in the UFC to know like he is not that one-hitter quitter power type guy. He's a more methodical, he's a more calculated type of fighter. Also, the level of competition from the Cage Warriors days has just gone up. We are facing a new level of competition. And not only are they harder to finish, they are also coming at you in a way that makes it harder for you to finish them. That's just how that goes. I don't think we're ever going to see Ian Garry be that, guy with the nuclear power that's just putting people down. But at the same time, I kind of do believe the IQ is there. Like from what I see of Ian Garry, I believe I see a smart fighter. I believe I see somebody who is finding the easiest path to victory. Whatever is the best way for me to achieve my goal, which is being UFC champion, I'm pursuing that, and I see that from him. And I don't think he forces anything, which I think is a very good trait for somebody who's that young in their career to have, because it's easy to do that. And so I think he can be disciplined in this fight. I ultimately do side with Shavkat, but I think it's going to be a great fight, and I think this is the one to watch. I think everybody's kind of on board.
Yeah, it's People's Co-Main Event. This is the one. Like there's nothing that you can say that will get me to not watch this fight. I have to see it. I want to know what happens. I want to see how it plays out. PC, I don't know if you saw this, man, but a disturbing video came out from Kazakhstan today, aimed directly at Ian Garry. You've seen this footage. We have it here. If we could play it. This is the grandmas from Kazakhstan. A message for Ian Garry.
You Irish boy, they said.
Yeah.
I thought they were talking to me. I shit myself.
You don't have a chance. You're just another victim of Rakhmonov. He'll beat Bilal next. Shavkat will get that belt. Garry, think about your undefeated streak, which will end on December 8th. Didn't your grandma tell you not to enter the octagon against the big Kazakh man? Also, boy, find an easier opponent for yourself. But for now, you must face the consequences. Alga, Kazakhstan, Alga,
These
Shavkat.
fucking legends, man. Fair play to them. That is amazing,
Shout out to the
isn't it?
grandmas.
Fair play to him, brother. Petesy,
I don't think Ian is getting that kind of cultural into the mainstream yet, where grannies are going to be holding up pictures of him. But let's hope we get there. We're all hoping that he does get there someday for sure.
Yeah, I do want to pivot to something serious for a second, real quickly.
Okay.
We saw there was an update in the Conor McGregor trial, the settlement of the legal fees. What can you tell us about that? And then we'll let you get out of here.
So McGregor was ordered by the judge to pay Nikita Hand's fees, which are estimated to be about 1.5 million. Now, the big question going in today was whether Nikita Hand would have to pay for James Lawrence's fees. Obviously, they found that McGregor had assaulted Nikita Hand, but they found that James Lawrence hadn't. Now, this is opening up a bit of a Pandora's box for people who haven't followed the case, because Lawrence came forward and said he had consensual sex with Nikita Hand during the police's investigation. So he came forward. Nikita Hand had no recollection of any encounter with James Lawrence. So it was Nikita Hand's counsel, John Gordon, who said, like, I think he's a patsy. I think he's coming in here to take the rap for McGregor, take some heat off McGregor. Today, the judge said that he believed the jury believed Nikita Hand insofar as that McGregor and James Lawrence had concocted this story. So James Lawrence will have to pay his own fees, and Nikita Hand will have to pay her own fees pertaining to that side of it. But McGregor will have to pay an estimated 1.5 million. Another thing that was said in court today is that the judge is going to deliberate for a few more weeks before he decides whether he will hold McGregor in contempt of court. Obviously, we saw a lot of social media posts in the aftermath. One particularly said that he said a kangaroo court was in operation. Again, Nikita Hand's counsel, John Gordon, said this morning at the High Court, he said, this is calling the court, the Irish court, into disrepute. So a couple of more weeks we should hear if the judge does fine McGregor for contempt of court. I think he remarked, this is a very rich man who would have no problem paying a fine for calling the courts into disrepute. I'm paraphrasing there. They're not direct quotes, but that is essentially what he said.
Yeah, last question here. So it sounds like the next steps are we are going to hear whether McGregor is in contempt of court. We have heard previously about an appeal. Do we have any update on that? Do we know if that is actually happening?
I read two different reports from the court today. One said he was going to, the other said he didn't, so I'm quite confused about that myself. We know that he had 28 days from the date that the jury found for Nikita Hand. I believe that was November 23rd. So, I mean, we're running out of time here. I think the thing that I saw online a lot was people kind of commenting an appeal means the court happens again. Everyone comes back in and they give their evidence and things like that. That is not what happens as far as I know. He needs to appeal something that didn't follow protocol in the legal system. They would need to isolate something to say, this wasn't fair, what happened here. And
in the court proceedings you're talking about, it is not.
Yes.
It is not a relitigation of case. It is to
Absolutely
say
not.
something happened in the case in the trial here that was untoward, and that is why I am appealing.
Absolutely. And you can also appeal the fee, but as we know, it was on the lower scale of things, €250,000. So it would be redundant to appeal that as far as I'm concerned. He could end up paying more money. So still up in the air, lads. I'm sure we'll find out in the coming weeks if he will appeal. That's one question I have too. Do we find out? Is it reported if this guy is appealing, if they're going to go through the appeals process? Unfortunately, not a legal journalist, so I do not know that, but I will endeavor to find out for you.
No, you did a great job. Thank you.
I was going to say, you're not a legal journalist, but you've been absolutely crushing this whole case and everything following with it. All this legal jargon, you guys, it is so far above my pay grade. I'm just I have no idea what you're talking about. Before we let you go, Petesy, we had a super chat for you, but
know what?
Now I get in my ear that we're supposed to skip it.
About being above your pay grade.
I'm literally in the middle of teeing it up, and they're just no, super chat.
Speaking of being
There's a super chat
above your
for you,
pay
Petesy.
grade, we have made another decision. Cross actually is voting with his dollars to make Petesy part of the Parlay Pals, and then he left a little gout emoji.
Wow.
Take that for what it is.
Petesy, are you joining
Wow.
us?
I mean, do you want me to?
I feel like it might be late notice for this
See,
one.
Cross,
What do
you've
we
made
think?
it awkward now. Like,
Yeah,
we're
this is
gonna have
actually
to
very
offline
awkward.
with him.
Because we're still waiting on
Because
Juliana's
I've only
pick.
ever made one pick as part of the parlay.
Okay.
Lads, and
But hold on. The last time Petesy made a pick, it was him filling in for
right.
Juliana. Unless I'm mistaken.
All right, Petesy, you give us a pick right now, and if Juliana doesn't give us a pick by the time
Yes.
that we get to our picks, which will probably be in about 30 or 40 minutes, then
Petesy is
you'll
back
fill
in.
in for the week.
Cyril Gahn money line.
Okay, so you're on money
Perfect.
line. It's written in the stars. There it is. Petesy, right off the rip. Wow. Thought you were going to go
I
plus
didn't wanna
money.
go for
Keep
an
your,
underdog
keep your
here.
plus money
No.
streak going. Minus like 350.
If you're
Cyril
going to
Gahn.
be in the parlay pals, you have to deliberate a little longer than.
No,
you
no,
just
that was
did.
Frank,
good.
Yeah.
stop. Would it have been better if he had been like, there's only one fighter for me, Cyril Gahn money line.
Exactly.
That's
Well,
the
I
Frank
just
special.
felt like the Merab one was such a good one. You
That
know
was
what I
so
mean?
good.
Underdog
That was
shout.
so good. We'll come back to you for UFC 311 in LA, and you can pick Merab again.
Let's do it. Sounds good, boys.
Petesy, appreciate
Thank
you,
you,
brother,
Petesy.
as always, man. Great stuff.
Great show. See you soon.
We saw the grandmas out in Kazakhstan.
It's absolutely incredible.
Absolutely incredible. It looks like they cook a good meal out there.
Yeah.
It looks like they do. And we went and we found out, me, you, and Frankie went down to Farida in the financial district here in New York City to film yet another episode of Fight Feast, this time to try Kazakhstan food. Please enjoy. All right, MF, we are back. Another episode of Fight Feast, this time UFC 310. And you know what? It's pretty cold out here. Let me get my hat on. There we go. Co-main event, Shavkat Rakhmonov, Ian Garry, UFC 310. What cuisine have we never tried? Kazakh cuisine. So we are here at Farida in New York City. Look at this beautiful scaffolding. Wouldn't be New York City without the scaffolding. We're here at Farida to try some authentic Kazakh cuisine. Fight Feast, episode lucky number 13. Let's go. This place was nothing short of beautiful. As soon as you walk in, the lighting, the ambiance, the paintings on the wall, it felt like you were stepping in to a portal into the land of the nomad Kazakhstan. Yeah, these decorations are great. But just look at this painting, absolute masterpiece. I need this over my fireplace. I asked them how much to walk out with it. They said priceless. All right, let's see. I'm a little bit, I can't lie, I'm a little bit worried trying this. Not necessarily up my alley, but we're here to try things. Wow. Chalky, salty. That's all I can do with that. You taste the yogurt? Rick, give that a go. Oh, Rick went entire ball. That's so much salt. Oh my God, that's so much salt, Rick. Point the camera at me. Yo, both went full balls?
Full balls, yeah. All chest, all balls. I'm in. I like it.
Barusak. This is like a Kazakhstan fried bread. I think this is sour cream to dip it in. The curd may not have been my thing. This is right up my alley. Yeah. Fried bread. It's fucking amazing. I could eat this entire plate, no problem. Fried bread. What's not to love? Out of nowhere, hit the fiend with the rock bottom. Shavkat Rakhmonov. Flagman. Fried noodles, beef, sauce. It's so hot. It's so hot. It's so hot. It is nuclear hot. Lagman take two. I could crush a bucket of this. This is, if you look up the book of Connor and foods that I love, this is it. Just noodles, sauce, beef. This is. Fantastic. Main event, had to go back on for the main event. Beshbamark, official dish of Kazakhstan. The waitress just informed us. I also read it on Google. They call it 5-finger dish because you're just gonna end up eating it with your hands. It's that good. We got noodles, we got potatoes, we got beef on here. I mean, thick noodles. Sign me up for this. A little bit of sausage, a little bit of beef. Make sure it's not too hot again. Meat is very salty. Noodles are very thick. I think I like the Lagman better. Is that a sin? All right, here we go. Manti. I hope I'm not messing up the pronunciations. Kazakhstan dumplings, though. I believe this one is either steak or pumpkin. We're gonna find out when we bite into it. Get the yogurt dip. That's steak. That's good. That's really good. Not much to say here. It's just that dumpling. Just a fantastic dumpling. Pumpkin, though. That was steak. Let's try pumpkin now. Oh, you guys are heavy. They're thick. Pumpkin manti. Hottest thing you've ever eaten. If there's one thing Kazakhstan food has shown me, they like it hot. Yeah, these are great. They're also the hottest thing I've ever eaten. We got the live music in the back. The vibes in this place are immaculate. The Shak. This is a dessert, fried dough, covered in powdered sugar, honey, and walnuts. Waitress just told me we just go with this with the hands. Amazing. Oh, please, yes.
Oh, thank you.
This goes with the dessert. Perfect timing as well. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. All right, traditional Kazakh tea. Sign me up. Again, looks nuclear hot. Looks like I am not going to survive this if I drink it. But we'll get a little dunk here to start us off. All right, so the tough part of this, do we go one by one? Is it like French fries? How I would imagine this? This is like you go to a fair in Kazakhstan if they have fairs. This is their funnel cake. Kazakh funnel cake, this is what this is. Get a little nuclear tea. Oh yeah, that's the stuff. My mouth barely survived this meal. I just melted the roof of it, but it tastes great. Milk tea, Kazakh food. Who knew? Shavkat Rakhmonov knew, I'll tell you that much. And now we know too. Sorry, I had to say goodbye to my people in there. I mean,
Just now started picking up the transmission, so you gotta
have to go.
I want to give you the gift.
A gift?
There's a chocolate.
Oh, this is incredible. Look at this.
Yes. That's
Kazakhstan chocolate. This is incredible. Thank you so much. We really appreciate everything.
Of course. It's a dark chocolate. It's the best one. Yes,
This is
very
amazing. This
popular.
wrapper is beautiful. This is incredible.
This is for you.
Take two. Here we go. Whew. All right, Emma, I've had to say goodbye to my people in there. I mean, we're damn near celebrities. The hat is loved. Could not be nicer people. I mean, the hospitality that we just experienced, we got to try our own teas. We FaceTime with the owner's son because he's going to the fights on Saturday to support Shavkat Rakhmonov. The hat's a conversation starter, and the food was simply incredible. Episode 13, this might have been my favorite episode to date, the experience that we just had. Farida, New York City, shout out. We will be back. Out of 10, 11. Shout out to Farida. Shout out to Shavkat. Shout out to Kazakhstan. Shout out to Fight Feast. Until next time. Shout out to Kazakhstan and shout out to Farida. That was really, it actually was like one of the greatest experiences I've had on Fight Feast. We're 13 in now. That was my favorite. Like the vibes were immaculate.
From the moment we walked in, they were like,
I was like, oh, this is incredible. Like, the booth we were sitting at was like sewn with like all these crazy colors and everything. All the waiters and waitresses were so nice. The owner.
Farida herself.
The name of the restaurant was Farida, and we later found out that was actually Farida herself. She was super low-key. She's won all these awards over in Kazakhstan. I said we FaceTime her son. It was actually her brother.
Yeah.
That was my mistake. But her brother is out in Vegas right now for the fights. And like we FaceTime him, and he saw the hat, and he was just like, oh, this is amazing. We're going to beat Ian Garry on Saturday, and then we're going to go beat Bilal after
That's what he said, yeah.
But she did give us this. She gifted us some authentic Kazakhstan chocolate. She said it was dark chocolate, and I said, let's wait till the show. We can try it together.
Let's rip it.
No need to do it on the streets of New York. So let's see what we got. I mean,
I was so happy to be there for that. That was a lot of fun.
it was amazing, man. That's my favorite part about doing these fight feasts. You kind of get to you get to try these new cuisines, you get to try these new cultures, and a lot of these people are like really open and like excited about you trying them.
I think in particular this one though. The brother going to the fights kind of like sewed it all
He's
together.
like, oh yeah, I have this same hat in, but it's like a gray wool fur. I was just like, all right, here we go.
Listen to that snap.
Get you 2 squares.
Thank you.
What'd you say, Frankie? I'm sorry, I don't have my headphones on, huh?
What'd you say,
Listen
Frank?
to that snap.
Listen to that
yeah,
snap.
Cheers.
Smells like dark chocolate. Cheers.
I mean, not
Well, you like the mouth on that one.
Oh, I'll chew right into it. Yeah.
Hey, you're supposed to let chocolate melt in your mouth, not chew.
All right, next one up. This is actually good chocolate,
This
man.
is very good. Yeah, this is good.
I love dark chocolate.
It's not too dark, but it's not like milk chocolate.
How does it compare to the Dubai chocolate?
I was just gonna say, Dubai chocolate be damned. Now the Dubai
chocolate's a different level. We're talking something out of this world.
All right, you better leave some of that for me.
This is like quality dark chocolate.
Very good.
Like
chocolate.
Also, like
What's that golden ticket in there? What?
Oh my
Pull it
God!
out.
Wait,
Pull it out.
this is Willy Wonka's Kazakhstan region. We're going to the factory. No, this is
I'll
like
be the uncle.
this is like authentic, dude. There is not a word of English on here. You're not allergic.
Turns
to
out
anything,
it's
are you?
just upside down, and you're like,
Oh, it's great.
Very good. Shout out to Farida. Shout out to
Shout out to Farida and shout out to
Kazakh food. Like it. Delicious. I was in.
also this hat. Is like the warmest. First of all, it's like the sickest looking hat of all time. Like I'm just gonna start wearing this casually in the
You
winter.
say sickest looking hat of all time. Is it going to be your number one later when we do our pound for round?
and MMA Headwear. We'll get into that later.
Watch what you say.
It's also like the warmest hat. Like I
Yeah.
walk outside and it's like 22 degrees, and I can wear it for 5 minutes before I start sweating. It is real fox fur. It's amazing.
I don't
I'll have this on.
know if you know this. They live in the mountains.
Yeah, it's almost like it's built for like a nomadic lifestyle.
Yeah, I think so.
but not headphones.
No, not for
But now what?
It's not designed for headphone wear.
Yeah, I'm about to take it off.
Shout out to Farida. Shout out to Kazakhstan. Shout out to the UFC 310 co-main event. It's
a banger.
worthy of all the praise it's getting.
It's an absolute banger. Before we move on to picks, bets, all the like of that, let's go through the rest of this card. Not going to dive as deep as we just did on the main event and the co-main event, but there are some fantastic fights on this one. Cyril Gane, Alexander Volkov too. Kind of a ho-hum performance from Cyril Gane last time in the first fight, but to Volkov's credit, man, he's 5-1 since that last
really
fight, with
good.
one loss being to Tom Aspinall, who's currently the interim heavyweight champion of the world. And he's looked fantastic, man. Like, especially in that Pavlovich fight, he was just flowing. And Cyril Gane he struggled. Like, obviously the losses being to John Jones and Francis Ngannou, like, is nothing to bat your eyes at. But I think Volkov is a live dog in this fight.
I think Volkov, when he fights utilizing his physical gifts, he's very hard to figure out. He's very hard to get past because of the size. It is jarring how big he is compared to a lot of these other heavyweights. And when he's able to use that reach and keep people on the outside, he's very good at it. He also is kind of, he has good power. Like, he's not just a guy who only can stick the jab and circle around. I could see him winning the fight. I just think ultimately, I think Cyril's just going to be a little cleaner, a little smoother, a little more technical, and probably take it out. And it seems like Petesy agrees with us. That was his pick that we got from him earlier. The line feels a little off, though. I feel like the value might be on Volkov, but I do think Cyril probably has the edge.
I do too. I said, I do think Volkov's a live dog in the sense that, he obviously has a chance. I mean, you're fighting at heavyweight MMA and you're a massive dude and you've had this much success and you've already fought the guy before. But I think Cyril Gane pulls it off. I think Cyril Gane, I think he's 34 right now. He is going to hang around this title contention for a while, I think.
Yeah.
Don't know if he'll become champ, but
this is young in the game at heavyweight. Yeah,
very young. Bryce Mitchell, Kron Gracie, getting a lot of complaints, getting a lot of why is this on the main card? Kron Gracie on a main card in 2024. Yeah. What is this low, bro? I actually agree. What'd you say?
Is the earth flat?
Do seatbelts really work?
Do seatbelts?
That was a hot take by Bryce Mitchell.
Yeah.
Not that he's the government shouldn't interfere, but I don't believe in seatbelts. It's
don't believe in them.
It's not really it's something you believe in or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not Santa. It's actually just a highly efficient safety device that you can wear in your car. The fight itself, though, I feel like I need to see something from Kron Gracie before I'm confident in him winning. Like, here's how I think he can win. He's very tough.
Yes.
Very tough. Bryce Mitchell has never knocked anyone out. And he's
Is that true? He has no knockouts?
No knockouts.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Not just in his UFC career. And let me confirm this now, just because you're saying it. I don't want to say something that's wrong. 16 wins, 9 by submission, 7 by decision.
Wow.
No knockouts to his record. Kron Gracie is very tough. There it is. Yeah. Kron Gracie also has no knockouts, but for different reasons, he is like a strictly BJJ specialist. He is very tough. And Bryce Mitchell is not submitting Kron Gracie.
No.
So if it goes to a decision, like, I just have a hard time. Like, I need to see it from Kron Gracie. Just last time out in that fight, he offered next to nothing. His like nonchalant attitude of like, don't really care about being here. So like, I'm not gonna pick him, but like minus 1,000 Bryce Mitchell, I'm not running to the window to place that bet.
The easiest path to victory for either of these fighters is for Bryce Mitchell to stay on his feet and strike with Kron and beat him in that game, right? He's not going to knock him out, but he is going to be the better striker.
For sure.
That is the easiest path to victory for either man. I feel like there's a world where Bryce tries to grapple at some point. Maybe. I don't know if he does. Hopefully he doesn't for his sake. That would probably be the smartest way. I don't know. I could see him trying to grapple, and that would not go well. Petesy was talking about not wanting to grapple with Shavkat. You definitely do not want to grapple with Kron Gracie. That is the one thing you do not want to do. If he does, it'll be a mistake. If he does not, I feel like there's a clear way that he can win this fight.
Yeah. It's just about just sticking to the game plan.
Stay on the game plan, strike, and do not grapple.
Get a dub, get back in the win column, and kind of move on. And then, do you think Kron Gracie gets cut after this?
No, I still got a name. People still care. I mean, the reason this is on the main card is because Bryce Mitchell and Kron Gracie are like name enough that people care.
Ice Cream Kron.
Ice Cream Kron. Kron is.
I also said I also said Ice Cream. Ice Cream Kron. Ice Cream Kron.
Kron, because it's like cone.
Yeah,
so that's why Ice Cream.
All right, moving on. Final first fight on the main card. Final one that we're going to talk about. Nate Landwehr, Doo-Ho Choi. Sign me up for this. Like, stop. Like, this is a scrap. 15 of 20 Doo-Ho Choi's fights have not gone the distance. Nate, 4 of his last 6. And, like, even when he does go to a decision, it's a bloodbath. Yes. It is an all-out war. These are just two guys that are just down to scrap. And that's what we're going to get on Saturday night.
I have nothing to add. Like, this is the fight that you should tune in for. They put it first for a reason. It's going to be a goddamn scrap.
That's goddamn scrap. Like, that is it. This is I think in my notes I put, like, this is a motherfucking fucking fight right here. Like, this is the one you show to your friends that it's just like, yeah, you might never heard of these dudes, but like, they're about to go to war. And it's going to be fantastic. And on the off chance that Nate Landwehr doesn't lose, he's probably going to win.
I love that quote so much.
One of the greatest quotes. And honestly, dude, I mean, if we can get a Brian Battle win, a Nate Landwehr win, a Bryce Mitchell win, honestly, too, if he gets on the mic as well.
There's you're saying there's some mic moments that we might get?
There could be some good microphone moments on this card as well. Like, I actually worry a bit if Brian Battle wins, like, because like that the standard has been set. How do you go higher than that? And he's going to be in Vegas, so like he's not going to be hated.
He's not
like
going to have the crowd, the enemy territory. He'll come up with something. I'm sure he's been, since it got all this attention, he's talking to Ariel about it. Everybody has asked him about it. I'm sure he's put some thought into what the next one's going to be. Although it sounds like the other one was a little bit off the cuff.
Yeah.
This one, he probably has to have something.
Gets on the mic. Conor McGregor.
Michael Chandler cut. Just repeat. They do have a similar, when they do the like yell, it's kind of like a similar thing.
Yeah. All-time moment. Prelims.
What a promo.
Anthony Smith, Dominic Reyes. Kind of like later stages of the career for the boys, but like could end up being a really fun fight.
I think it'll be good. I think that's like a good matchup. It's a good pairing between the two.
Vicente Luque versus Themba Gorimbo. Like, I'm actually really interested in this one just because of Luque's last performance. We saw him. We were there in Atlantic City, and like, it just looked like he wanted no part of that fight at all.
I suspect something else was going on. Like, he might have been hurt or something. Like, it was by far the worst performance I've seen from Vicente. I expect he will be better in this one. And Themba's like on a decent trajectory here in the UFC. Let's see where he's at as well. Vicente is obviously a huge step up. So now let's see where he's at.
I was just going to say, I think it's just perfect matchmaking in the fact that it's a big step up for Themba Gorimbo, and like we need to see if Vicente Luque is still
the
about
guy,
it.
yeah.
Like if he has another performance like he had in Joaquin Buckley, it's just like, all right, man, let's just hang him up. Like the fight game has passed you by, and like you're just clearly not interested in it anymore. But I'd like to see if something else was going on back in March, and this one is going to be a better performance because talk about live dogs. If it's Vicente Luque in there, he is as live as they come.
What is the line?
I want to say like plus 130.
Yeah, that makes sense. I would be on a dog there.
The fight that most people believed should be on the main card instead of the Kron Gracie Bryce Mitchell one, Movsar Evloev taking on Aljamain Sterling in what could be seen as like whoever wins this fight is either next in line
somewhere
or
in line,
very close in line at 145 to fight Ilia Topuria. And I think this is going to be a great fight, man. Like Movsar Evloev, like he is not a finisher. Like he just doesn't really finish people. And Aljamain Sterling is a highly equipped grappler. And I think it's just going to be a much closer fight than the line says. I think like minus 280 right now for Movsar. I understand that he's undefeated. But like Aljamain Sterling can make this a very close fight, especially one that I think is going to go to the judges' scorecards.
Unfortunately, I do feel like this one smells like two grapplers who are going to end up striking. We're not. I feel. I just in my bones feel like we're not going to get them in the realm that I want to see them in. I feel like we're going to get them having like a kickboxing match.
Did I just say I thought it was going to be a super exciting fight? Did I say that?
No.
Okay, all right.
I'm just saying. Sure. No. I'm just saying. Oftentimes when we're like, these two guys are high-level grapplers.
Yeah, right.
We will not. I don't think we will see a second of grappling. There's a chance. Maybe we will. Hopefully we will. I would love to see what happens when Aljamain Sterling and Movsar grapple. I think they will strike. That's what I think will ultimately happen because I think the other will not want to give them the advantage and they will end up having a kickboxing bat. If they grapple, I'm extremely fascinated in this fight because I want to see how Aljo looks against somebody who at 145 is one of the premium grapplers in Movsar. This could either be a dud or a lot of fun, and I'm hoping that it will be a lot of fun. I don't know why Aljo's that big a dog. I think he's too good to be that overlooked and underrated. But on the other side of the coin, Movsar is pretty damn good and has proven it at this level. I think it's more of an Aljo just hasn't cut his teeth in this division is kind of like what we're seeing with that line, but it'll be fascinating to see. I hope we see them grapple. That's what I truly hope. I hope the whole thing is grappling.
Yeah, I mean, that would be fantastic. And like you talked about it, like we saw Aljamain Sterling debut at 145 back at UFC 300. And like now he's really getting thrown to the wolves at 145, undefeated Movsar Evloev. If he wins this fight, it's just like, oh yeah, he can hang in 145. Like he might be alive to compete for the title.
I think he will prove, win or lose, that he can hang in this division. I expect we see a pretty good Aljo performance. But again, I just want to see them grapple. Please, I'm begging. I just want to see them grapple. That's what I want.
Yeah, we'll see if we get that. I am kind of with you in the sense that, it's the two grapplers turns into a striking affair.
I hope not.
We just talked about him, Brian Battle taking on Randy Brown. Brian Battle is like as hot as they come right now, coming off of a huge knockout back in Paris and then getting on and cutting, arguably, in my opinion, promo of the year. And now the line is reflecting that, man. I mean, in this one, taking on a vet in Randy Brown, minus 220. Randy Brown coming back at plus 185. I'm not sure if that line isn't a little bit wide, but like now that Brian Battle, we've seen him get these incredible finishes, and now we've seen his personality come out and him get on the microphone and really be able to sell it. I'm very intrigued to see what happens in this fight.
Randy Brown has won 7 of his last 8 fights in MMA. The lone loss is to Jack Della Maddalena. I don't know why he is that big a dog in this scenario. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Am I crazy?
No, I'm with you. You said before the show, you were just like, man, does it feel like Brian Battle is
now I'm looking at the record, and I'm even more like, what the hell is going on here? 7 of his last 8, the loss to Jack Della. Like, Randy Brown is a good fighter, man. I'm surprised to see that. I get it. Look, Brian Battles look good, and the promo helps. Like, there's just a lot of buzz and attention around him. I think Randy's one of these guys that never kind of like is too in the focus of everybody. He kind of just flies under the radar for one reason or another. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because he's too low key, too respectful. He's not out there talking shit. He's definitely not cutting that promo that
Brian Battle's gonna get on the microphone and he's just like, I love it. Keep moving. Randy Brown's just gonna be like, Thanks to Brian Battle. You know, I really appreciate the love. You know, that's 8 of the last 9. Let's keep this thing going.
It's a shame because he's got a great story. He had an incredible
story.
interview with Ariel.
Yeah. Came in studio.
In studio. 7 out of 8, 1 loss to Jack. Like that dude's a rude boy. That dude's a rude boy. I don't get that line. I think Randy's live there. I think that's closer to a coin flip, if I'm being completely honest. The fact that you're getting him at that number, I would play Randy there.
This might be the kiss of death. Like, I feel like anytime I say this, every single favorite wins, but like it feels like there's a decent amount of live dogs.
Some dogs barking
in this one. Chris Weidman, Eric Anders. We were supposed to get this one on UFC 309, got rescheduled. Very unfortunate for Chris. You'd want to see him at MSG, but happy that he gets to have the fight just a month later. It didn't get completely canceled. We talked about it last month before 309. Yeah, I mean, very close fight. 2 guys,
right stages in their careers.
I was gonna say this is like good matchmaking. Like, we're not giving Chris Weidman to Dricus du Plessis or anything like that. Like, we don't need to see him fighting that. Like, I think this is a good level for fans to continue to watch Chris Weidman. And yeah, it's
you just hope that whatever illness struck Eric, where I think it sounded like it was food poisoning.
Yeah,
they
said that it was food poisoning. We'll take the word on it.
Hope is good, and 195. I love that it's not like they're not having to suck themselves down again. Like, good.
Former Alabama football player, now vet in the UFC game. I'm positive he didn't make something up to get out of the fight. I'm certain we will see that on Saturday night. And it should be a good one, man. I mean, Eric Anders has power. He's also talked about, like, he's not here to compete for the title. He just wants to, he's got 3 more fights in him, make as much money, get out, spend some time with his family. So
love that.
Should be a good one on Saturday. A couple more. Michael Chiesa versus Max Griffin.
That's a sneaky banger.
Dude, like, and this is like, we're talking like this is the 3rd fight of the night, man, and this one could get really exciting too.
Chiesa was just fighting Tony Ferguson. Like, this is like a good fight. Chiesa's a name. I'm a big Max Griffin fan. I know he's kind of like got mixed results up and down, but like, he's in every fight. He's competitive in every fight. He comes to fight. I'm a big Max Griffin guy. I think this is gonna be a great fight. I love every fight on this card. There's not one that I'm looking at that I'm like, this is the low point. They're all pretty damn good.
Yeah, man. I mean, another one that's just like an absolute scrap at 125. My guy fighting out of Atlanta, Cody Durden, taking on Josh Van.
That's right.
I mean, this one could get really intriguing as well.
Van's the internet's darling. MMA community loves Van. Van's a gangster. I love this one.
I know, honestly. Up until the loss to Charles Johnson, where he got finished in the 3rd round, like, it was just like, man, this guy might be the new dark horse here at 125.
Yeah.
But that should also be exciting. Like, it's just like a top to bottom. Like, we can't spend too much time on each fight just because it is so deep. Another intriguing one, Clay Guida versus Chase Hooper. 2nd biggest age gap in UFC history, going down between these two. Number 1 was Royce Gracie versus Ron Van Clief in 1994 at UFC 4.
Perfect.
That was 23 years and 10 months age difference. This one, Clay Guida versus Chase Hooper, 17 years and 9 months of age difference.
That's crazy.
That is like a...
Shout out to Clay Guida, still doing it at this level. Shout out to Chase Hooper. I think this is another. Who did Chase Hooper fight last time?
It means that, like, when Clay Guida was like 25, Chase Hooper was 8. I wish they would just.
No, Tapology's down for me.
I wish they had just run into each other at one point. And Clay Guida was just like, "I'm gonna fight that kid one day."
Little baby.
Yeah. Well, yeah. He's 19 and Chase Hooper's 2. He's like, "I'll fight that kid one day."
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hooper fought. What's his name? Santa Claus. Slava Claus.
And put the absolute beat down on that man.
Who did Chase Hooper grapple? Did he grapple Aljamain? There was one of these fights that I was just like, Chase has been doing
the Tapology right here.
Like a Legends tour.
Yeah, he lost a split decision to Aljamain on grappling.
Yeah, now he's in there with Clay Guida. I'm sure these are guys he like kind of like was watching.
Well, you know he's actually grappled with Clay Guida as well.
Has he? Oh, that was the one. No, that's what I was thinking of. He grappled against Clay Guida. And it was like, oh, this is one of my idols. I watched him growing up. I didn't realize
hit him with the calf slicer in round 1.
That's right. That's crazy shit.
Yeah, man.
That is crazy shit. Good for both these guys. I love that. I love that.
Hopefully we get like a Clay Guida signature burp on the stool this weekend.
A slap from the brother and a burp on the stool.
Yes, let's get it. Big size difference in that one too. 6'1" for Chase Hooper. 5'7" for Clay Guida. He's got the age. He's got the size. And he might just have the skills, but... again, a lot of, like, we talk about a lot of live dogs. Chase Hooper minus 1,200 right now.
Yeah, Guida has to be live at that number. That's just too crazy.
Like, it's just like, you got a minus 950, you got a minus 1,200. But man, there are some fantastic fights. UFC 310 goes down this Saturday in Las Vegas. And you can watch it with the boys right here on this very YouTube channel, in this very
We'll be right
room.
here.
Throw this desk out.
I'll be
Get it out of here. We'll be sitting right here in some comfortable chairs watching that one. It's always fun. Couple new wrinkles this weekend.
Got the bike.
Yeah, we got the bike in here.
Bike's coming in. Shout out
Got to
Averon.
keep the training days going. Have we decided what the finale is going to be? I've envisioned like a 5-miler as the finale.
Oh, boy.
What is that? Hey, come on. Tour de France, they do like
I don't want to
100
commit yet.
do like
We'll figure it
150.
out. I don't want to commit yet.
Come on.
I'm still scared after the beatdown.
All right, let's check the messages right now to see if we received a message from one Juliana Pena about her pick.
Mm.
No message has been received.
All right.
So Petesy Carroll's Cyril Gane is live for this weekend as the fourth leg of the Parlay Pals. This is
Serial gain, as
This
John
is-
Jones calls them.
This is nothing against you, Juliana. Absolutely nothing. You will be back next week. We're just gonna ride the Petesy Carroll pick on this one. Minus 375 for Cyril Gane. And maybe, who knows? Maybe Juliana will like hit us up and be like, "Oh, my pick's Cyril Gane." Either way, I'll throw the last three names into the randomizer here. Frank, you go first. I'll go second. Rick, you go third.
Cool.
You know, I spent a lot of time deliberating, as one should, in the Parlay Pals.
Really sell us on this.
But there's only one fighter for me.
Oh.
Classic.
I
Never gets old.
Honestly believe that Shavkat is going to get this done against Ian.
Oh!
And I'm taking a money line. Ian said he's going to shock the world. He's got to shock me first.
Minus 360 on the money
Those-
line there.
Those two things wouldn't happen simultaneously. It would be he shocks Frank and then the rest
Yeah.
of the world.
Because the rest of the world is, all right.
They're
I got it.
like-
Breaking
behind.
news, Ian Garry has shocked Frank.
And then
Now
the world
it's
is
time
like,
for
oh my
him to
god.
Subtitle, the world was also shocked.
All right, I am going to go to the main event.
Mm.
I am actually not going to take a side in this one. I am going to take that the fight does not go to a decision at minus 250. I think it's going to be exciting. I think someone gets served up here.
Yeah, this puts me in a bit of a predicament because I was going to take Serial Gain and then I was going to take Pants.
We're at plus 126 right now.
I'm feeling feisty, man. I'm feeling feisty.
Let it rip.
Nah, I can't do it to you guys. Can I?
We're here for you, man. You got to feel good about it.
I'm feeling feisty.
Okay.
He hasn't let me down before. He let me down once, but
Uh-oh.
he's been pretty good. Aljamain Sterling.
Aljamain Sterling. Money line. Not even a point spread or anything. We're getting plus 185.
Money line, Aljamain Sterling.
Wow. That gets us to plus 545.
Yeah.
Aljamain Sterling on the money line for New York Rick, plus 185 in the Parlay Pals.
Yeah.
Bets. I love it.
That's where we're
love
going.
it. All right. There it is. It is written. Cyril Gane, minus 375. Shavkat Rakhmonov, minus 360. Pantoja Asakura, not to go the distance, minus 250. And Big Rick going Aljamain Sterling, plus 185. I love it. All right. Let me rip through my picks quickly here. On the program, I'm decently exposed here on UFC 310, final pay-per-view of the year. Let's get into it. Pick number one, Michael Chiesa money line. I actually grabbed him earlier this week as a bit of a dog. That line has come in a little bit now. I know that people hate when I do that. It's
Fake ticket.
It's the thing they hate the most. But I think he's live to win minutes here. I think this is going to be a super close
What is the line
fight.
now?
Minus 115, minus 105.
Okay,
so
it didn't move much.
Yeah, it's not like he's like minus 200 right now. But yeah, I mean, when he opened up at like a plus 145. So shout out if you got that line. Michael Chiesa, though, I like him in a very close fight, and I think he can win minutes and get this one done. Moving on to the next pick, Aljamain Sterling. You just mentioned it. I'm actually going with the point spread in this one because I am certain if Movsar Evloev wins, that it likely goes to a decision. Like I really think that his path to victory is by winning via decision, and I am very confident that Aljamain Sterling can win one round off of Movsar Evloev.
I like this.
He's had some close fights in the past. Aljamain Sterling, champion at 135, showed great skills against Calvin Kattar.
He looked great.
At 300. He looked fantastic. I think he can win a round. I think he's very live. And yeah, Sterling, plus 3.5 points. If you don't know what that means, add up the three judges' scorecards at the end of it. So a 29-28 across the board, I would win this because that would mean Movsar won by 3. Or he could just win outright, and I would still win the bet. Moving on to the next one. Vicente Luque money line. I am going to have some faith that Vicente Luque shows up on Saturday, and if that is the case, he's an incredibly live dog. This is a massive step up in competition for Timba Garimbo, and I like Vicente Luque. I think that something was going on in his life externally back in March, and he shows up as the old Vicente Luque, and he gets this one done against a surging Timba Garimbo. Next up, Reyes Smith over 1.5. I used to always bet Anthony Smith unders until I realized like it's just like every time I do that, I always just watch sort of like a kickboxing match. It either ends like that, like quickly, or it's just going to go the distance. And I just sit there and I'm just like, yep, 3 minutes in, I'm just like, this one's going the distance. I think this is likely just going to serve as a kickboxing match. Both guys kind of being careful, being tactical, and I think we hit that over 1.5. Next up. Oh, yeah. Nate the Train versus Superboy, Korean Superboy Doo Ho Choi. Fight does not go to a decision. Like we said earlier, this one is an absolute scrap. It is an absolute war. I mentioned it. Doo Ho Choi, 15 of his 20 fights have not gone to a decision. Nate the Train, 4 of his last 6. It's going to be a scrap. I think someone is getting got in this one. We roll along to the next one. Shavkat Ian starts round 3. Okay, this is a little sketchy because Shavkat, as we know, 18 wins, 18 finishes. Only been to the third round once, and that was against Jeff Neal. But I do think this is the highest level fight that he has been in, and we've seen, the finishes don't come as quickly at this level. I think this one is going to go on the longer side. Obviously, Ian undefeated as well, has never been finished. I think this one goes longer. I think we see the start of round 3 in the co-main event. Next up, Alexandre Pantoja inside the distance. He is currently sitting at minus 240. Cut it down for a guy who has won so many fights by finish against a guy who is a scrapper, who is willing to put it all on the line, get got in Kai Asakura, and you get the line to plus 115. Alexandre Pantoja, and still via finish.
God, what a card.
Put a stamp
what
on it. Dude,
a goddamn card this is.
It's such a good card. 2 parlays for you. Half the parlay pals, actually. Cyril Gane and Shavkat Rakhmonov.
Yeah, those are good ones.
I think Cyril gets it done again in the rematch, and then Shavkat
Shavkat's the world.
Got to ride with my man from Kazakhstan. And then lastly, prop parlay. We got to do it every week, even though they lose. Weidman Anders over 1.5. Aljo Evloev over 1.5. And then Bryce Mitchell to win by sub or decision. No knockouts. Don't think he's getting the first one here against a tough as a $2 stake, Kron Gracie.
They have lines, and I always think these are funny, like everything but. Like you can bet against one outcome, and I wonder what the Bryce Mitchell... Well, anything but Bryce Mitchell KO line is. It's probably pretty gnarly.
Let's actually see what Bryce Mitchell period
by KO
is. Winning method. Bryce Mitchell by KO only plus 500. From a man who has 0 wins by knockout against a super tough guy in Kron Gracie, that is, and his submissions plus 400.
What?
Yeah, by decision minus 200. I feel.
Yeah, you know what?
Taking a single. He's not going to submit.
I don't know if submission or knockout is more crazy, actually. So maybe you should have taken Bryce by decision. All right.
That's actually very true. All right. We still have a little bit of show here to get into. You see my hat. Shavkat, shout out. The Thai Mac, I believe, is the proper name for it. You. We have to get into the pound for pound rankings. This week, we are going to go with the best headwear in MMA. And this one spans quite a bit of time.
I have 2 things to say before we get into that. Good tee up for that.
Okay, yes.
Number 1, end of the show, we'll answer some questions. If you got some super chats, get them in now. In addition to the questions that we'll answer at the end of this show, if you are a member, we're going to be doing a private members-only chat after this. So this show ends, 15 minutes from the end of that show, we're going to be back on the YouTube channel with the members in a private chat answering your questions. Not just one. We'll stay there until every single question that you've got is answered. We'll chat it up. So questions at the end of this, plus if you've got something to save and you're a member, come join us in the members chat.
Come chat some shit.
Chat shit with your boys.
Had to get another bite.
Everyone stop chatting
shit. Don't stop chatting shit.
Oh.
Chat the shit.
Start chatting
yeah,
shit.
Yeah. Got it.
And I had to get another bite of that Kazakhstan chocolate.
That's pretty good.
For 2 reasons. It's fantastic, and because I don't want Frank to have any. I'm trying to finish the bar before he gets
It could have nothing to do with the fact he didn't eat lunch.
I'm chewing.
That is true, and I have my lunch waiting for me. See, this is why I do it. I want to be hungry when I get off, and I'll just
get a little hangry. I mean, especially if you watch those fight feasts, like you were devouring that food like it's about to be taken away from
Someone said that to me. They were like, "Why do you eat so aggressively?"
It's called
I'm
food
like,
aggression. You might want to talk to your doctor.
To be fair, while he's eating, he's looking back at me and Frank with like ravenous eyes, waiting to be able to eat this food. So I appreciate the speed at which you eat when we do these.
That is one thing. Everyone's like, "How do you always eat all that food?" It's like because I purposely show up like hungry, like I'm like hungry and ready to roll.
Yeah.
Also, like typically, what you see me eat is what I eat. We're sharing all the food.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm just putting
Right.
down every
You're not
single
going
plate.
back and finishing that whole plate after.
Yeah.
You're passing it off. But also, you are watching me and Frank just be like
Yeah, exactly.
waiting for you to put that
That's
fork
very
down
true.
so we can eat it.
I'm
very
literally
true.
drooling.
All right, did we decide?
Yeah,
on
we
an-
did actually. I'm going first.
Amazing. And then?
And then I don't care.
Oh, okay. All right. So Frank will lead us off. This is best MMA headwear, walkout,
Whoa.
weigh in the cage, whenever.
Anywhere. Yeah.
MMA
anytime.
fighters wearing headwear, top 5,
They have
pound
to
for
wear
pound
it.
best.
Yeah, headwear.
Shit.
Frank, stop,
Maybe I
man.
shouldn't go first. But
Shut
to
up.
Did you
start
just
us
pick
off,
heads? I don't understand what
All right, here we go.
confusion
Let's
would
go.
be.
I actually can't
at
wait
number
for Frank. here.
5,
I can't wait for this.
I believe that Max Holzer wore the costume of the Cape Crusader himself, Batman, but not just any Batman. He wore the 1960s TV show
Oh, the
Batman.
Adam West?
During his walkout, actually played
Is
the
this
original.
UFC? Who's Matt Holzer?
I don't know.
This is from Octagon. Like,
Oh,
Yeah,
Wow.
shout out to
Wow.
Octagon.
Show some
Frankie is
respect.
Frankie's showing we're casuals here.
Wow, very good.
I am
Very good pull, Frankie.
pissed
Yeah.
from UFC.
Max Holzer, the Stifler, 9-0, fighting out her in Octagon.
Shows
Wait, his nickname is Stifler? Oh,
Yeah.
Stifler.
Wow.
No, Stifler? Stifler?
I'm saying that's Stifler.
Shout out. No, I
Continue,
think
Frank.
Stifler.
We're off to a hot start. That is absolutely
That's
fantastic.
great, Frankie. Good pull.
I'm so glad that you guys approve of that. Because coming in at number
no.
4
The way you teed that up.
is Brian Ortega.
Oh.
When he came
yeah.
out with his posse and they were all wearing the LED mask, you got to respect the LED
Yes.
mask with the little expression on it. It's amazing.
Shout out, dude. One of my
I
favorite
actually-
walkouts of all time.
You know what
wearing one
movie
right
this is
now.
from, right?
Excuse me?
You know what movie this is from, right?
I don't watch movies, so no. I only watch Brian Ortega's walkout with the cool mask, but please enlighten
UFC
me.
266 against Alexander Volkanovski? I'm
Yeah.
an encyclopedia post-September 2021.
What movie is it?
The Purge.
The
It
Purge.
says it on your
Oh.
list. It says Brian Ortega's Purge mask.
That was a adjustment made by the great producer.
It was.
Jordan.
It
Oh,
wasn't
look
all
at
time.
Jordan covering for you. Wait, so you picked this without even knowing the context? I will say, though, 2 in, Frankie's off.
good.
That's how
Frank,
objectively
crazy
good
hot
it
start.
is.
Best list
Like,
so
here
far,
you
man.
are, like, oh, I like The Purge, like it's the movie with all the killing. I'm like, look, here's Brian Ortega looking like a badass.
I guarantee
All right,
Frank
man.
watched and liked The Purge, by the way.
Yeah.
Next.
Coming in at number 3, Izzy Adesanya comes out
Adesanya.
wearing the Sakai clan mask and hat from Ghost of Tsushima.
Frank killing it right now.
And I just have to say, again, it looks great on Izzy, but this is something I
Wow.
wear every
So
Friday.
So good.
So
I
sick.
lose
so
the
good.
shirt. I go home. Sometimes I lose the pants. I just put the hat on, the mask. I sit
Too
down,
much.
and I watch Brian Ortega's walk out where he's wearing apparently the mask.
So you
from-
take off your shirt and pants to watch Brian Ortega's walkout
while
Okay.
wearing the hat and
Good,
the mask.
Good.
It's
Yep.
just, and I sit on the couch. Yeah.
Love it.
But
by
Izzy
the way,
makes it look great.
You're on fire right now. Keep
Oh,
going.
Wait, hold on. I'm on fire. Okay. Coming in at number 2, and this is probably on your guys' list. I don't give a shit because it's on my list. AJ McKee spent $100K
Oh, shit.
to wear the entire
Great one.
fucking samurai suit.
Yo,
And I like to
Frankie killed
think
me.
that every Friday he puts that on, he sits down, and he
Yes.
also watches the Brian Ortega
Yes.
walkout,
Good shit,
unaware
Frankie.
that it came in the movie.
I'm embarrassed right now. I don't think I can compete with this.
Actually, this is actually so good that because love every pick you've had so far, Frank. I thought of the AJ McKee at one point this week, and then I re-forgot about it. And then as soon as he said AJ McKee, I was like, God damn it. Great shout by Frankie, dude. You're easily your best list. This is, you are on fire right now. I cannot
Well,
wait
I
to
want
hear
you to
number
hold
one.
that thought.
I can't wait to hear what number one
He
is.
keeps setting us up for the
Because
fall. He keeps setting us up.
Sometimes I can disappoint even the best of them. But you know who didn't disappoint was Juan Archuleta coming out with his Aztec costume of the Jaguar Warrior.
Oh my God, this is great.
Yo,
Frank.
Something the family doesn't
Nailed
know.
it.
Oh my God.
Shout out.
I have Honduran
Oh my
background.
God.
Holy shit.
The Mayans, the Aztecs, but like, if this doesn't get you pumped for a fight, I don't know what will. Probably Brian Ortega's mask, to be honest. But
God damn,
You
Frank.
Find
fucking
his
killed
phone.
this, Frank. You
In
should have
fact,
gone last.
this is
Why
why
did
I
you
said-
go first?
Go.
That's why I said I don't
Wow.
care who goes next because the job's been done.
The job is done. Bravo, Frank. Bravo.
Damn.
That was
Damn.
a fantastic list, man.
Wow.
God, the
Wow.
deep dive with the whole.
Whoa, we got the crew standing up.
I'll stand
Standing
up
up.
here too. I'll stand up here too. I mean, the Max Holzer Batman, and then you get the deep dive with AJ McKee and
He got the
Archuleta.
deep pulse. He got the surface. The
I'm a fucking
just
casual
killed
to
it.
you, Frank.
Killed it.
You,
God damn.
You killed that.
Frankie.
You killed that. All right, you told me how terrible and shit your list is.
Yeah, mine is shit.
All right, you'll go second then, so we can hear about
Mine
the
is
rest.
just like it's like it was more stuff that was emotional for me. Transparently, like if I had more time, I would have been able to go deeper, go to Pride, go to old UFC, and I just like blew it. And also, I was the one who like pitched this concept, and then I just underdelivered. I'm embarrassed, and now after Frank has set the bar that high, I don't even know what to do with myself. But I'm just gonna do it because we're gonna complete the exercise. Number 5, Anderson Silva's Jabberwocky's mask. The pure white mask from one of the most iconic face-offs ever, him against Vitor Belfort.
Yep.
I think 142 is the UFC that was. I forget. But at the time, Jabberwocky's was that dance group that was insanely popular. They're still kind of
Still around.
popular.
Shaq
but-
wore him.
Shaq wore.
Yeah.
But at that time, it was like at the peak of their powers. Anderson Silva was this entertainer, and he was known for like his dances in the cage and things like that. Incredible mask, but made an iconic face-off with his bitter rival Vitor Belfort go to a next level. So that was the context on that one. The mask itself wasn't like ornate, but that's kind of the thing, right? It is the plainness of it that made it. So that's my number 5. Number 4, MVP's Pokemon hat. And you know what's interesting about this one? You talked about it earlier today because he put this on after he cracked the dude's skull in half.
Yes.
So after he
threw one too. Threw a
he
Pokeball
threw a
too.
Pokeball at him, but he also after destroying him.
By the way, was that a GIF?
Yeah, Jordan.
You guys just played a GIF
Jordan
on
did
the
that.
screen?
It's a gift.
That
of
is
how great it looks.
that is above my
we're
pay
at
grade.
a high level right now.
I didn't know I could give GIFs out here. That was
I didn't know either. I tried
Fuck.
it, and Jordan was like, "I got you, bro."
producer extraordinaire.
Everybody's on top of their game right now, except for us. But
producer
Jordan
becomes the student.
and Frank is. He cracked the guy's skull, put on a freaking Ash Ketchum hat.
I love
and
it.
Threw a Pokeball. I mean, it's pretty gangster. Number 3, just an iconic look. Kimbo Slice's do-rag. Just
Okay.
there was a point where I didn't even know what his head looked like. I didn't know if he was bald. I didn't know if he had hair because he was wearing that do-rag all day. And it's just this iconic. When I picture Kimbo, I cannot not picture Kimbo, large beard, gold teeth, do-rag. It's just the outfit. And sometimes shirt, when I picture it, sometimes shirt, sometimes gold chain. But Kimbo Slice, do-rag, iconic. Can't see him without it. RIP to an absolute legend of the game. Number 2. This one's a little bit of a deep dig, but I think you'll know who this is. This is Lee Murray.
Oh yeah, shout out to Lee Murray.
His Hannibal, Frank sarcastically, his Hannibal Lecter mask.
Yes.
This man came out not only in the mask though, also the full outfit.
Sick.
But came out in the Hannibal Lecter mask. You will also now know, if you are an MMA fan, Lee Murray involved in a massive bank robbery, serving prison time, and from there the story, he like maybe ski mask is also an appropriate look
makes
for
it
Lee
even
Murray.
cooler.
But the Hannibal Lecter mask was a very gangster walkout.
Badass.
And then number 1, Habib's Papaka.
Yeah.
Papaka?
Yeah.
I haven't quite found how to pronounce, but like
Papka?
say
I just said it wrong.
Papaka.
I added a third P in there.
Paprika.
Papaka.
Papaka.
Yeah.
I think that's right. But either way,
Iconic.
it has become the it is
Yeah.
it is the alpha and omega of this conversation. It's the one that is the widest spread. Shavkat is having a moment with his as well. Merab's got a version of that hat, but like the one that became the one, Habib's hat.
Incredibly iconic, legendary,
Yeah.
and to go along with like a 29-0, undefeated, everything about it, like it really is just iconic.
I didn't lean as much visually, right? I was picking more like moments. Frank fucking knocked it out of the
murdered
park.
us. Your actually wasn't as bad as like you were selling it to be. Mine, I don't know.
We'll see,
The only
we'll
thing
see,
that I
we'll
can
see.
take is that me and Frank do share a couple.
Okay.
Number 5. Let's start it out. Shavkat's time
Yeah,
back.
good
18-0. 18 wins, 18 finishes. Like it's just iconic. Look at this picture. Does a picture get harder than this right here? When
No.
you're 18-0 with 18 finishes.
The wolves on the chair.
Listen, I got this hat. It was not a cheap thing to get. I looked at those robes. I actually found that exact robe in that navy blue.
How much?
It was $900. I considered it for a minute.
My man.
I really did.
mean, if you're walking around Manhattan with that, you're making a statement.
Oh, a statement. Walking around with this, you're making a statement. But it's growing in like how iconic it is. Like it's like he just dropped a full violence merch sale, and in every shirt he's wearing the hat. Laura Sanko, like he's putting the hat on. When he does the interview with Joe Rogan's putting the hat on. Like the more that he wins, if he becomes champion, like this will grow into be like one of those legendary hats, just like Khabib's.
Didn't they just do the walkout, like the arrival, and he and the crew had like the hats and the robes on and everything?
Yeah,
like
it's just
like
thing. He does it in the face-offs and everything. Like, and it is quite terrifying, especially when you know like what his accomplishments are. Number 4. I'm taking it from Frankie's list. I agree. It's one of my favorite walkouts of all time. Brian Ortega rocking the Purge mask before fighting Alexander Volkanovski at 266. Fantastic. This was such a sick walkout, and he almost got the win. Mask looks so cool. I love the creative walkouts. It adds a sense of flair and style. I thought it was awesome.
Did you know that was from the movie The Purge?
Oh, shit. No, I actually didn't even know it was from a movie. I don't watch
I know.
movies.
It's crazy, right?
Fuck, great call, man. That's why you won this list. Number 3, Ghost of Tsushima, Sakai Clan tribute, Israel Adesanya. I'm sharing it with
you guys really
Frankie.
are sharing.
I mean, dude, it's such a good one. Like, it goes so hard.
It's so good.
And then he pulled the hat down, so like it was just his face exposed when he did the walkout. Absolutely fantastic. Number 2, Alex Pereira face paint and headdress that he wears to the weigh-in ceremonies is absolutely electric. Just like, look at that, dude. I mean, he's got the championship tattoo. Look at like that picture right there.
Yeah, that's the one.
I do not want to fight that guy.
Nope.
All right? Like, I don't want to fight that dude. Like, that headdress is sick. It's amazing. And then
it's an incredible look.
when he goes back to the tribe he's a part of in Brazil and he gets the whole paint. And he reps the champ belts with him. It's fantastic. And then number 1, I share it with you. Khabib, the Popka. It's just like, it's iconic, man. I mean, look at this. Like he wore it all throughout his career. It ended up being a legendary career, 29-0, undefeated, lightweight champion of the world. Some people consider him to be the GOAT, at least on the Mount Rushmore. A lot of people have him. And it's just kind of like, it kind of spurred the like, I have a signature headwear.
100%. Yeah, it was a moment. Like there had been people who've been wearing cultural things before that, but it felt like it was now a thing that was going to spread wider to the MMA community to the point that people are buying. You have Shavkat's hat.
I paid a pretty penny to get this shipped from Kazakhstan because of it.
This was all like post Khabib. Khabib's kind of started that.
I was going to say, I am positive there's someone out there that had a Khabib hat shipped from Dagestan, like back in like 2017.
Like, then they started like making them on Amazon because he became so famous.
You can literally get it shipped on Amazon now. And it's actually funny when I was looking this up, like I looked on eBay and Etsy and like I just wanted it shipped from Kazakhstan and like it all is like Shavkat hat. And like it has a picture of him wearing it. So shout out, man. This one was actually pretty fun.
It was fun.
We like thought of it like waiting for the subway or something on Monday.
No, we were on the way to the restaurant.
Yeah, we were on the way to the restaurant and like it was I was like, oh, actually we can really have some fun with this. Frank killed us though. It wasn't even a competition.
Another applaud for Frank.
Round of applause. Like absolutely killed it, Frankie. Great work by you. This is what you proved what can happen when you actually put effort into a list.
Are you implying I don't
I'd
put
love
effort
these
into
foods.
the other list?
I like them at Thanksgiving, but I'll eat them any time of year. Number 1, pepperoni pizza. Some honorable mentions because there are a lot.
There are a lot.
This was a little bit tough to make. Gilbert Burns, Brazilian headband, that's one. Paul Craig.
He has that. It's like the bandana,
face,
right?
With the Scottish face paint. Your boy right there, GSP, rocking the headband. Raul Rosas with the sombrero, legendary with the red and the green. Fighting Nerds glasses. Those are pretty cool.
Oh, I didn't think of Fighting Nerds glasses. Damn, that would have been a good one.
Those are good.
There were so many that I was like, I think about them, but I guess I just got too lost in the sauce.
Honestly, anything that Joe Rogan puts on like with you to interview,
Bisping or DC when they get the
immediately becomes like legendary status. I think we have a picture of like Joe Rogan rocking different hats. I could be wrong though on that.
Joe Rogan wore the Khabib hat. That was like, what is
DC
this?
rocking the Alex Pereira mask on the weigh-in show. That's
why is it so small? His head is like 3 times the size.
I think they just painted like a Jabberwocky's mask.
Yeah, that must
and
have
then
been.
he like walked out and did the Alex Pereira thing.
Too small.
Who else is it? Cowboy Cerrone's cowboy hat.
I feel like Andrea Lee. There's a few others who have rocked it over time.
Another one that was great, Mektebek Oralbai.
Oh, yeah.
His hat. Unfortunately, he just lost, but like that's a great hat.
Yeah.
That's a great hat there. Leonardo Augusto Leleco rocking the Scream mask at
I didn't know we got a Scream mask.
Face-ins. At face-offs. That's
that.
a good one. Lazy Boys Sombrero is good. The Anderson Silva mask you mentioned. Colby Covington's MAGA hat. That one's become legendary.
Shout out to Colby.
That one's become. Yeah, there it is. That's synonymous. Yeah, there's some good ones, man. There's some good ones.
There are some great ones. I was initially.
Hey,
Virna!
I feel like I've never. Hey,
Our boy. Shout out to our boy.
Let's go. Look at that. Oh, look at us, man. Can we go to the 2-shot here? Because we look fucking great, baby. Let's go. We got the Shavkat Timac on. Do we know the name of Virna's hat?
It's just so I looked this up. I believe it's just like what she would say is like the cowboy hat of that area. So she said, I'm going to read you a quote. I'm from Brazil, born and raised in the countryside of Bahia. John G. Robo told ESPN, my parents are from there. My mother came from a farming family from the fields. I think our ancestry is very strong here in the northeastern region. From my family, all the women, above all, strong women. The hat I wear in the fight is a symbol. It represents the northeastern countryside. The cowboys here in the backlands use it a lot. I think it's a representation of the countryside here in the backlands. So like country life in Brazil, cowboy hat. Shout out to Virna. This is a sick hat.
I love it. 2-shot one last time. God, we look fucking sick. Look at us. We look so cool.
And the face paint I was thinking about, I was obviously thinking about Alex, but I was like, I love the Alex Pereira face paint. I love the Chris Cyborg always does some really cool paint. Like I particularly really like the one before UFC 232.
Oh, Cyborg! Shout out, yeah, that's a cool
one. That one was cool. Like the running, she does the Brazil stuff, and then Paul Craig. Obviously, you mentioned Alex Pereira. You mentioned like face paint's always a good look. Oh, here we go. Look,
Paul Craig.
How about Brendan Allen with the pelt
with the pelt against Paul Craig with the Scottish face paint. That's a good one. Oh yeah,
Ayo.
When he fought Paul Craig, he put on the face paint. Fantastic.
Yes,
it's tough,
There's been some good looks. Sakuraba used to wear like the Japanese like luchador like wrestling type mask back in the day. I wish I went deeper. Frank did more research and nailed it. I could have done better. I'm disappointed in myself, but that was fun.
Frank absolutely killed it. That was actually a fun pound for pound list. I really did enjoy that one
as opposed to the other ones.
They're all good, Frank. Relax.
Yeah,
you win one and you just get all.
I mean, I just don't like
lippy.
all the shade being thrown. Every pound for pound competition we've done has been amazing.
Yes.
Del Red in the chat says Usman did the face paint too. Yeah, with the Nigerian
There's
flag.
some really good ones.
Yeah, man.
Did they mention any stuff we forgot, like hat wise? I feel like we covered quite a bit of ground.
Well, AZ Ray Videos had sent a super chat saying no Brad Pickett hat, Rampage chain.
The
Rampage
Newsboy
chain.
hat. Rampage chain is not head though.
That's what I was gonna say. I thought about it, but like it wasn't headwear.
Yeah, you got to be on the head.
Speaking of super chats, though.
Okay, yeah, let's rip it.
I do want to give a shout out to Tech. He's gifted another 10 memberships.
Shout out Tech.
Giant thank you to him. Mason Bickner, coming up to the anniversary of custom shorts. When will we see a pound for pound shorts list? This could cover old as well as new. Thank you, Mason. Yeah.
That's actually a great question because you can get deep with the old ones. The John Jones Nike, the Chuck Liddell Iceman.
Can you get
Anderson
deep
Silva's
with the newer
iconic.
ones?
No,
Yeah,
they suck.
The new
They're all
ones,
trash.
yes.
Ilias are pretty sick.
It's
Ilias are pretty sick.
It's
Those
like
are my favorite ones.
Ilya, Zhang Wei Li, and that's about it. The rest of them suck. I
Custom
hate the
Purple's
shorts.
not making your top 5?
Nah, these are trash. I hate that we've been so starved for actual like good looking stuff and fight gear that we're just like, oh, they put some symbols on the same shorts and change the color. That's like
Come on, the Ilias are sick. The Ilias are sick.
Look, the John Jones goat ones look horrendous. They're all bad.
I do agree.
hate
John
them.
Jones didn't look great.
Just
Stipe,
goats, huh?
they could have just done the freaking the Crow Cop shorts, and we got this. It's just it kills me. It kills me.
Let me write these down so I make sure they're not on my pound.
Anything else, Frankie?
Yeah, Terrence Leverett.
Shout out Terrence.
Writes,
Terrence, bro.
Long time.
Is it a bad take? Think Umar should have had one more fight, and Merab handled everything terrible. Also, if you didn't have horse meat, you failed, GC.
Okay, so
we would have wanted to.
I was very willing and open, and I actually searched out finding horse meat. It is illegal to consume horse in the state of New York. You can't sell it, so that just wasn't going to happen.
Is it so illegal that you should be worried about having that search in your search history? Like, where
I
can
don't
I
think
get
it's
a
that illegal.
delicious horse?
Nah, he's got the VPN going, baby.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly. I'm
shout
on
out. There we
NordVPN.
go.
Yeah, exactly. Shout out. In terms of hot take, Umar needing one more. I just think with the way that it lined up is who was Merab going to fight? He already blanked Petr Yan, and he already beat Sean O'Malley 2 months ago.
But also, is Jan fighting in January? Like,
Exactly.
he just fought. It's not happening. So I just think it's a timing thing.
Yeah, and like the way it lines up too is like Umar has a win over Corey Sandhagen, and then you're getting into Figgy, who just lost to Jan, and like now it's just like Umar is next. Give him the shot, and then we can go from there.
If you told me like Umar fought one more, which wasn't there rumors of him being booked to fight one more? There was like something
against Song
out there.
Yadong at Tampa.
Yeah,
That never came to fruition.
if he had, I would have been okay with it, but I just don't think there was like some other option that I needed to see. I don't think Jan's fighting now. O'Malley is definitely not fighting now. Figgy just lost to Jan. It kind of is what it is, and I'm okay with this getting out of the way in January, and we see, what happens. I'm good with it, but I wouldn't have been mad if he got one more. I don't think there's a better option, especially on the time frame that they're on.
Anything else, Frankie?
Yeah, Sleeto has been a member for 4
Sleeto
months.
is a
Shout out
legend,
Sleeto.
brother.
For sure.
I just wanted to give him a shout out
Okay.
because he says he's stuck at work, but he just wanted to shout us out. Boys in the Back is the best show of the week. Don't at me.
Yeah, don't add him.
I won't at you, man, because I agree.
Shout out Sleeto. He's always active in the chat. That's our guy.
Except for when he's stuck at work, which we
No,
understand.
even when he's stuck at work, he's
Shout out to
shouting
Sleeto,
us out.
legend.
Anything else?
That's it.
That's it. All
What do you
right.
think?
Yeah, man.
We covered a lot of ground today.
Covered a lot of ground. 3:10, 2 hours and 10 minutes. Someone in the chat, Dolby Axon said Dustin Poirier Warhat. Yeah, but he got that
From, yeah.
Hagler.
Yeah. It still
We have it
counts,
right
though, I
there.
guess.
I mean, it is pretty sick.
It is gangster, yeah.
It is pretty sick. Shout out.
What are some other ones? Man, there's some just like further back in the archives that I'm
Someone said
overlooking
Figgy
and
deserves a shout with his hair. The God of War
well,
hair.
we mentioned we might do a hair.
Yeah.
We might do a hair one.
The Gout Trout says Rick has a crush on Sleeto.
Shout out to the Gout Trout.
Elijah Wandreen says he's got to go back and watch betting and pound for pound segments. You're damn right you do, Elijah Wan. You're damn right you do.
Pound for pound was great. God damn it, Frank.
Yeah,
Impressive.
he killed us.
Impressive.
Killed us.
All right.
I think that's it, man. We need Petesy, permanent member of Parlay Pals. Yeah, we'll see about that, Cross. We'll see how he does this weekend.
I'm not so fast to replace Juliana. She's been incredible.
She's the champ of the world. She's staying.
Yeah.
L says oral by hat. Yeah, we mentioned that one. Elijah Wan says hoodie Diego Sanchez holding up the cross.
Oh, I guess does hoodie count as headwear? No, I'm not counting it because it's part of the outerwear. Yeah, I'm not counting it.
Josh Heehan says, what's with the window being different? Nothing different about the window.
Yeah, nothing different.
It's just a window operating how windows do. Matthew Helm, shout out to my baby. Shout out to your baby, Matt. I hope
Do we know
they're
it's
healthy.
wait? Well, do we know it's a baby, like as in a baby, or might be like his baby, like like my girl, my boy? Who knows? We don't know. Just baby's very vague.
John Olive says, can I get a shout out for no reason? You bet your sweet ass you can, John Olive. Shout out to John Olive.
Hey, John Olive, what up?
Mr. Silent says, GC looked like he hit the Benjamin. No, not today.
They always say that. They say that about you a lot.
But tomorrow I'm going to see Interstellar, and I'm not going to say what'll happen before that, but that's going to be a good one.
Didn't Interstellar come out 10 years ago?
Yeah, and it's so good and such an iconic film that they're actually re-releasing it in theaters and IMAX across the country. I invited you to go. You denied the invite.
Well, Frank revealed today he doesn't watch movies. He said this earlier. So,
What is movie?
all right, that is definitely time to go. 2 reminders. One, we will be here with you guys on Saturday for the watch party for UFC 310. So all that stuff that we talked about, UFC 310, that deep card, all the excitement in the main and co-main, and quite frankly, the rest of it, will be here for you, starting with the main card. 9:45 Eastern time, we'll be going live. So hang out with us.
Please.
Watch the fight card. It's going to be sick. We're going to be excited. Pants versus Kai Asakura.
Shavkat versus Ian, Garry, Cyril gone. Nate the Train. We will be live
Nate
for
and
all.
Korean Superboy.
We will be live for all
gonna be fun.
5 fights on the main card, and I think for the first time ever, Frank, you can hit our music.
Wait, before one more. 15. Yeah, you can still hit the music. 15 minutes from now, members, we're going to be live chatting with you.
Legit, come chat shit. Like,
Yeah,
we will
come just like talk shit
we
with
will
us.
bullshit in that one. It will be a fantastic time. Can't wait for that. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. UFC 310 Saturday, UFC 311 next month.
Whew,
Pound for pound list.
Is this the best 2 cards in a row? It's pretty close.
It's up there. It's up there.
What was
man.
299? Was 299 up to the level of 300?
Yeah, remember 299 was a banger. That was the O'Malley, Cheeto Vera, and it had like it had Jan fighting on it. It had Poirier BSD on it.
Okay, so maybe
it was deep. It was deep, man. They get it, man.
Territory.
They get it. Appreciate y'all for watching. See you on Saturday, 9:45. Enjoy your weekends. Interstellar tomorrow for me. It's gonna be great. See ya on Saturday.